I am blending the smoothie. I am blending the smoothie. I am mixing the butter. I am mixing the butter. I am rolling the dough. I am rolling the dough. I am frying the eggs. I am frying the eggs. I am grating the cheese. I am grating the cheese. I am squeezing the lemon. I am squeezing the lemon. I am pouring the milk. I am pouring the milk. I am seasoning the meat. I am seasoning the meat. I am mashing the potatoes. I am mashing the potatoes. I am stirring the potatoes. I am stirring the potatoes. I am chopping the onions. I am chopping the onions. I am grilling the chicken. I am grilling the chicken. I am washing the vegetables. I am washing the vegetables. I am slicing the bread. I am slicing the bread. I am tasting the sauce. I am tasting the sauce. I am simmering the stew. I am simmering the stew. I am marinating the chicken. I am marinating the chicken. I am sautéing the mushrooms. I am sautéing the mushrooms. I am whisking the eggs. I am whisking the eggs. I am baking the cake. I am baking the cake. I am steaming the fish. I am steaming the fish. I'm roasting the vegetables. I'm roasting the vegetables. I am toasting the bread. I am toasting the bread. I am caramelizing the onions. I am caramelizing the onions. I am stuffing the peppers. I am stuffing the peppers. I am garnishing the plate. I am garnishing the plate. I am draining the pasta. I am draining the pasta. I am kneading the dough. I am kneading the dough. I am flipping the pancakes. I am flipping the pancakes. I am coating the chicken. I am coating the chicken. I am glazing the ham. I am glazing the ham. I am julienning the carrots. I am julienning the carrots. I am skimming the soup. I am skimming the soup. I am dicing the tomatoes. I am dicing the tomatoes. I am mincing the garlic. I am mincing the garlic.
You made it all the way, look at you, hanging through the chaos and the bloopers too. If you're grinning at the screen right now, guess I did my job somehow. Hey, thanks for
I think I like him.
You think?
Okay. I stalked his Instagram.
That's not thinking. That's research.
I'll sleep early tonight.
Sure.
Just one video.
Famous last words.
I'm starting a diet.
Again?
This time it's serious.
What are you eating?
Pasta.
Of course.
I need new clothes.
You have clothes?
Not for my new personality.
I need to study.
Didn't you say that yesterday?
I was planning.
Of course, very productive.
I'm so busy.
Doing what?
Thinking about working.
I'm starting a healthy lifestyle.
I support you.
I woke up at 7.
Impressive.
Then I ordered pancakes.
Balanced.
He liked my photo.
Okay.
From 2019.
Oh.
What does it mean?
It means he was bored.
I need motivation to go to the gym.
Think about your goals.
My goal is to lie down.
Strong mindset.
I need to save money.
Same.
No spending this week.
Good plan.
Let's order food.
Obviously.
He said, see you later.
Normal.
But what if he doesn't mean it?
He probably does.
But what if
Stop.
I don't know what to wear?
You look good in everything.
I know, but I want to look amazing.
You always do.
True.
Problem solved.
I need coffee. Now, immediately. Yesterday.
You had 3 cups this morning.
That was survival. This is living.
There's literally no difference.
There is, and coffee understands that even if you don't.
Did you study for the test?
I read the title of the chapter.
That's not studying.
It's exposure. Very different.
We're going to fail.
We're going to fail informed.
The title was just the subject name.
Then we are very, very informed.
If penguins could talk, what do you think they'd say?
It's cold, constantly just that.
No personality? No depth?
They live on ice. They have one topic.
I feel like they'd be really sarcastic.
So, basically you, but in a tuxedo.
I do look good in a tuxedo.
You've never worn a tuxedo.
And yet,
You ate my leftovers.
I didn't know they were yours.
They were labeled.
I thought that was a suggestion.
I want you to think very carefully about your next sentence.
I bought you new ones?
You absolutely did not.
I thought about buying you new ones.
That's somehow worse.
I'm cutting out sugar.
Amazing. Proud of you.
I deserve a reward.
For what?
Self-control.
What's the reward?
Cake. Today I'm being productive.
Love that. What first?
Making a to-do list.
Great. Then?
Rest after all that work.
I went to the gym today.
Really?
I walked in,
And?
looked around,
And?
came home inspired.
I paid bills today.
Responsible queen.
I need a reward.
Like what?
Spending money.
You made it all the way, look at you, hanging through the chaos and the bloopers too. If you're grinning at the screen right now, guess I did my job somehow. Hey, thanks for sticking around.
I am blending the smoothie. I am blending the smoothie. I am mixing the butter. I am mixing the butter. I am rolling the dough. I am rolling the dough. I am frying the eggs. I am frying the eggs. I am grating the cheese. I am grating the cheese. I am squeezing the lemon. I am squeezing the lemon. I am pouring the milk. I am pouring the milk. I am seasoning the meat. I am seasoning the meat. I am mashing the potatoes. I am mashing the potatoes. I am stirring the potatoes. I am stirring the potatoes. I am chopping the onions. I am chopping the onions. I am grilling the chicken. I am grilling the chicken. I am washing the vegetables. I am washing the vegetables. I am slicing the bread. I am slicing the bread. I am tasting the sauce. I am tasting the sauce. I am simmering the stew. I am simmering the stew. I am marinating the chicken. I am marinating the chicken. I am sautéing the mushrooms. I am sautéing the mushrooms. I am whisking the eggs. I am whisking the eggs. I am baking the cake. I am baking the cake. I am steaming the fish. I am steaming the fish. I'm roasting the vegetables. I'm roasting the vegetables. I am toasting the bread. I am toasting the bread. I am caramelizing the onions. I am caramelizing the onions. I am stuffing the peppers. I am stuffing the peppers. I am garnishing the plate. I am garnishing the plate. I am draining the pasta. I am draining the pasta. I am kneading the dough. I am kneading the dough. I am flipping the pancakes. I am flipping the pancakes. I am coating the chicken. I am coating the chicken. I am glazing the ham. I am glazing the ham. I am julienning the carrots. I am julienning the carrots. I am skimming the soup. I am skimming the soup. I am dicing the tomatoes. I am dicing the tomatoes. I am mincing the garlic. I am mincing the garlic.
You made it all the way, look at you, Hanging through the chaos and the bloopers too. If you're grinning at the screen right now, guess I did my job.
Scenario. I think we've all been in it. It's, 11:30 at night. The house is finally quiet. You're in bed trying to wind down.
Oh, I know this feeling.
And suddenly, your brain decides it's the perfect time to open the financial anxiety folder.
The universal late-night panic. It is fascinating how that happens. You're trying to sleep and your mind just goes, hey, remember that bill? Remember inflation?
Exactly. And it's not just one thought. It's a whole highlight reel. Did I pay the credit card?
Yeah.
Can I actually afford that trip next month? Is my savings account looking a little, well, sad compared to everyone else's on Instagram?
It's heavy. That is the word I always come back to with money. Physically, money is just, paper or pixels on a screen. It has zero mass. But psychologically...
Oh, it's the heaviest thing we carry.
It is. And for most of us, the solution to that heaviness feels like it has to be complex. We think if the problem is heavy, the solution must be heavy lifting.
Right. We assume we need spreadsheets with 19 tabs and investment strategies that require a degree to understand.
And this ironclad, painful discipline.
Yes. But today, we are pivoting hard. We are looking at a source that takes the absolute opposite approach.
It really is a radical shift, especially now. We're doing a deep dive into a text called Calm Life, Money, Simplicity, and Peace. And what's immediately fascinating here is the format of the source itself.
What do you mean?
Well, it's actually written as a gentle, sleep-friendly text. It's designed to be read slowly to help you relax.
Which is so ironic, isn't it? Usually reading about money is better than a double shot of espresso for keeping you awake. If I read a standard finance book before bed, I'm up until 4 a.m. stressing about compound interest.
Exactly. But the mission of this deep dive is to see if we can actually apply that calm philosophy to our wallets. We want to deconstruct this idea that managing money requires high stress, high adrenaline, and high complexity.
So the goal isn't necessarily to become a millionaire overnight.
No, not at all. It's to change the emotional temperature of how we handle our finances.
Moving from that panic and spending roller coaster.
Precisely. To a state of calm awareness. The source argues that you can be good with money without being anxious about money.
I love that. So here's our roadmap for this deep dive. We're going to look at how to manage money without feeling like you're micromanaging every tiny detail. We're going to look at the psychological power of what the source calls slow changes. And finally, we'll explore how simple living isn't about deprivation. It's actually a biological hack to quiet the noise in your brain.
It's about finding peace in the numbers, which, yeah, it sounds like an oxymoron, but it's possible.
Okay, let's unpack this. The first thing that jumped out at me from the source is this concept of redefining control.
Right.
I feel like when people say, I need to get control of my finances, what they usually mean is, I need to punish myself for buying lattes.
That is the common narrative. We equate control with restriction and an extreme complexity. The source explicitly points this out as a myth. It says that people believe they need these complex plans, but that belief itself is a stressor.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Think about it. If you think the barrier to entry for financial health is some complex, perfect system, you'll never start.
It's paralysis.
Yeah.
You look at the mountain of work you think you have to do and you just go back to bed.
Exactly. And you stay anxious. So the source proposes an alternative, simple budgeting. But you have to understand the definition here because budget is such a loaded word.
Oh, for sure.
In this context, it is not about controlling every line item. It is about clarity. The text makes a very important distinction. Simple budgeting is not about limits. It is about clarity.
I really want to drill down on that. Clarity over limits. Because limits feel like a cage. Limits feel like, I can't do this.
Right.
But clarity just feels like turning on the lights in a dark room.
That is the perfect analogy. When the lights are off, you are scared of what you might bump into. That is financial anxiety. When lights are on, you might see a mess, sure, but you aren't scared of the unknown anymore. You just see what is there.
So what does this simple budgeting actually look like? Because we can't just ignore the bills and say, I'm being clear.
No, you can't ignore reality. But the mechanism the source suggests is incredibly stripped down. It essentially asks you to know just 3 things, broadly.
Okay.
First, know generally how much comes in. Second, know generally how much goes out, your rent, food, bills.
Generally.
And third, try not to spend more than you earn.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
That sounds almost too simple. Can you really run a modern life on general ideas? Don't we need to know where every penny goes to be safe?
Well, let's look at the psychology behind that need for exactness. The source argues that you don't need exact numbers to feel safe. You need to know you are within the lanes. I mean, think about the anxiety of micromanagement. If you are stressing over a 10-cent difference in grocery prices or tracking every stick of gum you buy, your cortisol levels are just spiking.
And when cortisol spikes, we get into fight or flight mode.
Correct. And when you are in fight or flight, you make bad long-term decisions. This approach creates stability without that anxiety. It shifts the focus to 2 main questions. Do I have enough for my needs? And am I spending mindfully?
It's the difference between driving a car and obsessively watching the speedometer every single second.
Yes.
Versus just watching the road and flowing with traffic.
That is spot on. If you are staring at the speedometer or the penny perfect budget, you are going to crash or at least have a very stressful drive. This general idea budget allows you to keep your eyes on the road.
You just need to know, am I moving in the right direction?
Right, rather than what is my exact speed down to the decimal point.
Okay, so if we aren't obsessing over the budget spreadsheet, we still need to talk about the spending side because money does leave the account. We live in a consumer culture and, well, buying things is often how we deal with stress.
Right. And this is where the source gets really interesting about the psychology of spending. Again, the definition is key. The source defines spending mindfully not as not spending, but simply as slowing down.
Slowing down. It reminds me of how we eat. If you wolf down a meal while looking at your phone, you don't even taste it.
And you end up eating way more than you needed. Exactly. If you slow down, you actually enjoy it and you naturally regulate. So to help with this, the source provides a specific checklist. 3 questions to ask before you buy.
Okay.
First, do I really need this? Second, will this improve my life?
Those seem pretty standard. I feel like I've heard those before.
They are the basics, but here's the kicker. The third one.
Right.
Can I wait and decide later?
That third one is the game changer for me. Can I wait? Because usually, if I'm honest, the answer is yes.
Always.
But in the moment, it feels like an emergency.
And this leads to what I think is the most profound aha moment in this section. The source suggests a technique involving the pause. Often, when we are trying to save money, we feel like we have to tell ourselves no. And no is a harsh word. It feels like a parent scolding a child.
No. Makes me want to rebel. If I tell myself I can't have the gadget, suddenly I want the gadget 10 times more just to prove I have free will.
Exactly. It triggers a psychological phenomenon called reactance. You push back against the restriction, but the source suggests you don't say no, you say, not now.
Not now.
It sounds so subtle, but the psychological impact is massive. Not now leaves the door open. It validates the desire. It says, yes, that is a nice thing, and you are worthy of nice things, but let's just wait.
It reduces the pressure.
Totally. You aren't denying yourself. You are just managing the timeline.
It takes the emotion out of it. It's not a battle of will anymore. It's just scheduling.
Correct. And usually, if you say not now and walk away, the dopamine rush fades. 20 minutes later or the next morning, you realize you didn't actually want the thing.
You just wanted the dopamine. You wanted the hit, not the item.
Exactly. So not now saves you from the impulse without the pain of deprivation. It's a gentle approach.
I want to move to the next section because this really struck a chord with me. The source talks about safety. And I think if you ask most people what would make you feel safe with money, they'd say $1 million in the bank.
Or 10 million.
Right.
We equate safety with a specific large number. We think the pile of gold protects us from the world.
If I have enough money, nothing bad can touch me.
But the source challenges this completely. It states that feeling safe with money is not about being rich. It is about trust.
Trust in what? The bank? The stock market? Because those things fluctuate.
No, trust in yourself. This is where it connects to the bigger picture of resilience. The source breaks this trust down into 3 pillars. First, trust that you can handle small problems.
Okay.
Second, trust that you can adjust when things change. And third, trust that you don't need to be perfect.
That second one, trust that you can adjust, is so freeing because things will change. The car will break down.
Your rent will go up.
The job market will shift.
Yeah.
But safety isn't preventing those things. It's knowing you can pivot when they happen.
Exactly. If your safety depends on nothing ever going wrong, you will never feel safe, no matter how much money you have. You will always be looking over your shoulder.
Right.
But if your safety is built on the internal knowledge that I can handle small problems and I am adaptable, then you can actually relax.
It's internalizing the safety rather than outsourcing it to your bank balance.
The text talks about treating money calmly, not emotionally. When you trust your own adaptability, money becomes just a tool you use to adjust, rather than a measure of your worth or your survival.
So we have the mindset. Clarity over limits, not now instead of no, and trust instead of just hoarding cash. But we still need to build some of that safety net. So let's talk about saving. Because usually advice on saving is aggressive. It's cut out everything you love, live in a cave, and hustle until you drop.
Grind set culture, it's very prevalent. But the source takes a very different path here. It calls for gentle saving.
Gentle saving. I like the sound of that much better. What does it look like in practice?
It's about small habits. The source gives examples that are notably quiet and simple. Making coffee at home sometimes. Notice it says sometimes, not always.
Not always, okay.
Cooking simple meals. Using what you already have.
Using what you already have. That is such an underrated savings tip. I feel like whenever I have a problem, my first instinct is to buy a solution. Oh, I need to get organized. I have to go buy $100 worth of plastic bins.
When you probably have a box or a drawer that would work just fine, we are conditioned to consume solutions. The strategy here is about speed, or rather the lack of it. The source argues that slow changes are better than fast ones.
Or crash diet approach.
Exactly. When we try to overhaul our entire financial life in one weekend, it creates massive stress.
And we all know how crash diets end.
Right.
You starve for a week and then you eat an entire pizza.
Precisely. The rebound effect. We save aggressively for a month, feel miserable, and then go on a spending spree to soothe the misery. But with the slow strategy, you introduce one small habit. Maybe just the coffee thing.
Right.
You do it until it becomes normal, the source says. One small habit leads to it becoming normal. And when it feels normal, it feels easy.
You're building confidence, not just a bank balance. You're proving to yourself you can change.
There is also a really interesting reframe in the text about why we save. Usually, I think people save out of fear. I need to save in case disaster strikes.
Right. It's defensive. It's fearful.
And fear is a terrible long-term motivator. It keeps your cortisol high. The source suggests reframing the motivation from fear to future comfort.
Future comfort.
You aren't saving to ward off a catastrophe. You are saving so that future you can relax.
That is so much kinder. It's like I'm being nice to the future version of myself. Here you go, future host. Have a relaxing month because I put this money aside for you.
It changes the emotional flavor of the act completely. Saving becomes an act of self-care, not an act of paranoia.
So we have touched on budgeting, spending, and saving. But the source wraps all of this under a broader umbrella. Simple living. Now, I feel like simple living has become a bit of a buzzword.
Oh, yeah.
It brings up images of empty white rooms, one chair, and a single succulent plant.
It can definitely be misinterpreted as minimalism for the sake of aesthetics, or just being trendy. But the source defines simple living very specifically. It isn't about having nothing. It is about having enough. And it explicitly connects this to mental health and peace.
How does buying less connect to mental peace, aside from just having less clutter to trip over?
It's about noise reduction in the brain. The source makes a direct link. Buying less means fewer decisions. And this is crucial because decision fatigue is a real psychological phenomenon.
So every object demands a piece of your attention.
A tiny piece. Well, every time you buy something, you have to research it, compare prices, decide if it's the right color, buy it, maintain it, store it, clean it.
And eventually get rid of it.
It's a lot of cognitive load.
That is so true. Buying a new phone isn't just spending money. It's spending 3 hours reading reviews, worrying if I made the right choice, transferring data. It's a job.
Exactly. Fewer decisions mean less comparing and less pressure. The result, as the source puts it, is a quieter, more comfortable mind. It is about energy conservation.
Energy conservation. I like thinking of my brain energy as a battery. I don't want to waste it on deciding which toaster is the absolute best toaster in the world.
Yes. Every trivial decision burns glucose in the brain. It takes energy. By removing questions like, Should I upgrade or should I change this? And you conserve that energy for things that actually matter, your work, your family, your passion.
You step off the treadmill.
The treadmill of a constant optimization.
The source also mentions calm routines as part of this simple living. Simple meals, familiar clothes, predictable days. Now I have to play the critic again. To some people, predictable days might sound boring.
Sure.
Where's the excitement? Where's the spontaneity?
That's a valid concern. But the counter-argument is that your infrastructure should be boring so your life can be exciting.
Boring infrastructure. I like that.
If your infrastructure, your money, your food, your schedule is chaotic, you spend all your energy managing the chaos, you have nothing left for creativity. The expert insight here is about the biological signal these routines send. The source emphasizes that these routines tell the mind, you are safe.
You are safe.
Think about your amygdala, the threat detection center of your brain. It scans for change, because change often meant danger in our evolutionary history. When your environment is predictable, when you know what you're eating, you know what you're wearing, your amygdala can stand down.
It can relax.
The body relaxes. If everything is constantly new and changing, your brain is constantly on high alert, scanning for threats.
So the boring routine is actually a safety blanket for your nervous system.
Precisely. Simple living, in this context, is a biological mechanism for peace. It lowers your baseline stress level.
That is fascinating. So we aren't just saving money by not buying the new thing. We are saving our nervous systems from the stress of the new.
We are opting out of the constant stimulation loop.
So what does this all mean? If we zoom out, we're looking at a philosophy that asks us to stop fighting with our money.
We are stopping the war. The synthesis of this calm life philosophy is that money doesn't need strict rules. It doesn't need self-punishment, and it doesn't need perfection. It doesn't require you to be a Wall Street wizard.
What does it require?
Awareness, patience, and kindness towards yourself.
And it grows slowly. That was a big takeaway for me. We don't have to fix it all today. A calm life grows through gentle saving and mindful spending.
And the ultimate payoff isn't just a number in an account, it's the feeling. When money feels calm, life feels lighter. And as the source says, when life feels lighter, rest comes more easily.
I think we could all use a bit more rest.
Yep.
Now, before we let you go, we want to leave you with a final thought. We talked about how routines and familiarity signal safety to the brain, and how constant newness can actually be a stressor.
This raises an important question to mull over. If familiarity equals safety for the brain, in what other areas of your life beyond money are you introducing unnecessary stress just by chasing newness?
Are you constantly upgrading your hobbies, your social circles, or even your entertainment? When settling for enough might actually give your brain the break it is desperate for.
Sometimes the most radical thing you can do is just stay put and enjoy what you already have.
Something to think about the next time you feel the urge to overhaul your life. Thanks for diving in with us.
Take care. You know that specific feeling when you wake up? The alarm goes off and before your feet even hit the floor, there's just this background hum.
Right. It's not a loud noise.
No, it's not a siren. It's not full-blown panic where you're hyperventilating. It's just this low-frequency static in the back of your skull.
And the source material we're covering today, it actually calls that the soft pressure.
The soft pressure, that is such a perfect name for it. And for a huge chunk of the population, that pressure isn't about relationships or health.
It's money.
It's money. It's this quiet, nagging tension that's always asking, am I doing enough? Is there a bill I forgot? Should I be investing in that thing my cousin told me about? It's just there.
And physiologically, that hum is your nervous system just sitting in a state of low-level arousal. It's exhausting.
Totally exhausting.
And usually the way we try to fix that financial anxiety is by speeding up. We think the antidote is to hustle harder, maximize every single yield, and, stare at complex spreadsheets until our eyes bleed.
Right. We try to outrun the anxiety. But today, we're doing a deep dive into a text that suggests the exact opposite. We're looking at a calm way to think about money, simplicity, and peace. And I have to say, coming from a world of get-rich-quick or 10x your life content, reading this felt like someone just opened a window in a stuffy room.
It's a radical departure, isn't it? It's almost countercultural. The mission of this deep dive, and really the core argument of the source, is to dismantle this whole assumption that money has to be heavy.
Okay.
We want to explore how a slower approach can actually transform money from a source of anxiety into a source of safety.
And we aren't talking about slow as in lazy. We're talking about intentionality.
Precisely. We're going to cover the profound difference between control and clarity. We're going to unpack this concept of the soft outline budget, which I think is going to change how a lot of listeners view their bank accounts.
Oh, I'm excited about that one.
And we're going to look at why doing less might actually be the smartest financial move for your actual brain chemistry.
I love that brain chemistry angle because money is math, sure, but how we feel about money is entirely biological.
It's emotional and physiological.
Yeah.
So let's start with the basics of management, because management is a loaded word.
It really is.
If I tell you to manage your finances, what's the first image that pops into your head?
Honestly, stress. I picture a calculator, a stack of receipts, and a feeling of guilt that I bought a sandwich instead of making one. I feel like management usually implies policing.
Exactly. That is the traditional model. It relies on hypervigilance. And the source argues that we just misunderstand management. We think it means watching every number, constantly refreshing the banking app.
Obsessing over daily market fluctuations.
Right. We conflate staring at the problem with fixing the problem.
But staring at it just makes the monster look bigger.
It does. But this text offers a massive reframe. It defines management simply as awareness.
Just awareness.
That's it. Not punishment. Awareness. It breaks it down into 3 incredibly simple points. Number 1, knowing money comes in. Number 2, knowing money goes out.
And number 3,
knowing that you are doing your best in between.
Knowing you are doing your best in between. See, that feels dangerous to some people. It feels like letting yourself off the hook.
I get that.
If I'm just doing my best, am I actually making progress? Or am I just, drifting?
That's the fear talking.
Yeah.
But the text makes a key distinction between negligence and clarity.
Yeah.
It's not about ignoring your finances.
Okay.
It's about shifting the goalpost from control to clarity. We often chase control. We want to control the market, control inflation, control the future. But that's an illusion. You can't control those things.
You can't have clarity.
You can. And the text explicitly says you don't need perfection. You don't need control. You only need clarity.
And clarity brings calm.
That's the phrase.
That phrase really stuck with me. It reminds me of the whole monster under the bed effect when the lights are off, when you don't check your balance because you're scared. The monster is 10 feet tall. But when you turn the lights on, that's clarity. You might see a mess. You might see debt. You might see that you overspent. But you see the reality. And reality is finite.
The monster in your head is infinite.
Exactly.
That is a crucial insight. Reality is just logistics. You can deal with logistics. You cannot deal with a vague, undefined sense of doom. So the first step to this calm way is simply turning on the light without judging the mess you find.
So let's say we have the lights on, we see the numbers. How do we organize them without falling back into that rigid, punishing mindset? This brings us to the soft outline budget.
Which is my favorite concept from this source. I mean, most budgeting advice is incredibly rigid. You have the envelope method or zero-based budgeting.
Yes, every dollar has a job.
And if you spend $10 on a book you didn't plan for, the whole system breaks and you feel like a failure.
And when you feel like a failure, you usually just give up entirely and buy 3 more books. It's the what the hell effect.
Exactly. Rigid systems are brittle. They break easily. The soft outline is flexible. It treats the budget as a narrative, not a math problem.
A narrative? How so?
It sounds like this. I earn money each month. I pay for the things I need. And if I can, I save a little.
If I can. That conditional phrase does a lot of heavy lifting there.
It removes the binary of success versus failure. The takeaway here is that when you view your finances through this soft outline, money stops feeling so mysterious.
And when something stops being mysterious,
It stops being frightening. It becomes manageable.
it sounds like treating yourself like an adult rather than a misbehaving child. I earn, I pay, I save if possible. It's a rhythm, not a cage.
A rhythm is sustainable for a lifetime. A cage is something you eventually break out of.
So we have this soft outline, but we still live in a world that is constantly trying to get us to spend money. I mean, we have algorithms designed by PhDs to make us buy things we don't need. How does this source suggest we handle the actual act of spending?
This moves us into what the text calls the art of the pause. And again, the focus shifts from restriction, which just triggers feelings of deprivation, to slowing down.
Deprivation is a terrible strategy for long-term change. It's like a crash diet.
It is.
If you tell yourself, I can never buy a latte again, eventually you're going to buy the coffee machine, the beans, and the whole pastry shop.
You binge. So the source suggests that instead of a hard no, you just insert a little wedge of time.
Yeah.
You slow the process down with 3 specific questions.
I wrote these down because I want to start using them. The first one is pretty standard. Do I need this right now? We all know that one.
Sure.
But the second one is the game changer for me.
Which is, will this add something calm to my life?
That is such a profound shift in criteria. Usually when I'm impulse buying, my brain is asking, will this make me happy? Or is this exciting? Or will this make me look cool?
Those are dopamine-seeking questions. You're looking for a hit. Will this give me a rush? But asking, will this add calm, engages a completely different part of the brain. It moves you from seeking short-term stimulation to seeking long-term well-being.
It forces you to project into the future. Because a lot of things I buy, little gadgets, fast fashion, just clutter, they give me a buzz for 10 minutes. But do they add calm? No. They add clutter, they add maintenance, they add visual noise.
Exactly, they actually subtract calm.
And the third question is, can this wait?
Which brings us to the power of the pause itself. The source emphasizes that the answer to these questions can be yes. You can buy the thing.
Good.
This isn't about asceticism, but the magic is in the waiting. The text has, the pause creates space, and space reduces stress.
It breaks that automatic loop. See? Want. Buy.
It interrupts the impulse. And physiologically, impulsive spending is often a stress response. We shop to self-soothe. We feel bad, we buy something, we feel a tiny bit better for a moment.
Yeah, for a second.
By pausing, you allow your nervous system to regulate. You move from a reactive state to a responsive state. You're regaining agency.
Regaining agency sounds a lot better than saving $5. It feels more empowering.
It is. It's about being the driver, not the passenger.
Speaking of agency, let's talk about safety. Because for most people, financial safety is a number. They think, when I hit $50,000 in savings, then I'll breathe.
Or, when I own a house, then I'll feel safe.
Exactly.
That is the common belief, that safety is external. It's a pile of resources you build around yourself like a fortress. But this source challenges that directly.
Yeah.
It argues that safety isn't about the cash. It's about trust.
Trust in what? The economy. Because I definitely do not trust the economy.
No, and you shouldn't, because it's unpredictable. The text defines financial safety as trusting in your own adaptability.
Okay.
Trusting that you can handle small problems. Trusting that if the plan changes, you can pivot. Trusting that you can learn as you go.
That is a massive shift. If my safety is tied to a number, I am constantly vulnerable because numbers change. Markets crash. Emergencies happen.
Exactly. If your safety is external, it can be taken away. If your safety is internal, tied to your own resilience and capability, it's so much more stable. The source says, when you stop fighting money and start working with it, the stress slowly fades.
There's also a really beautiful reframing of why we save in this text. It moves away from fear.
Yes. Usually we save for a rainy day.
Which is such a depressing metaphor. It implies that a storm is coming. I'm saving money because I expect disaster.
You're bracing for impact.
Yeah.
And that keeps the brain in a state of threat vigilance. You're constantly looking at the horizon for the storm clouds.
Yeah.
The source suggests we view saving as preparing for comfort. We're preparing for care.
Preparing for comfort. So that emergency fund isn't a disaster fund. It's a sleep better at night fund.
It's a subtle linguistic shift, but language shapes reality. And the text notes that this kind of security, even a small amount, helps the body relax. There's a real physiological link. When you have that cushion, your cortisol levels drop. Your shoulders physically drop. You aren't scanning for threats because you know you have a buffer.
But building that buffer, that's where people get stuck. They look at the soft outline, they understand the pause, but then they think, I need to save $500 this month or it doesn't count.
The all-or-nothing trap.
And if they can't, they do nothing.
It's lethal to progress. And the source is adamant about avoiding the dramatic overhaul. We love that new year, new me energy where we vow to never eat out again and save 50% of our income.
But that never lasts.
Never. The text argues for the power of small, quiet habits.
The quiet, everyday ways. I loved the examples the source gave because they are so achievable.
They're low-resistance actions.
Right. It wasn't sell your car. It was, I'll make coffee at home today. I'll cook something simple tonight. And my favorite, I'll use what I already have.
I'll use what I already have. That phrase is incredibly powerful. We live in a culture that tells us everything we own is obsolete the moment we buy it.
Oh, for sure.
There's always a better phone, a better pan, a better jacket.
Choosing to use what you have is almost an act of rebellion.
It is. It's a mantra for contentment. And notice how light those choices feel. They don't require massive willpower. You don't have to white-knuckle your way through making coffee at home.
It's just a small, quiet choice.
Yeah.
But does that actually move the needle? I can hear the skeptics saying, okay, saving $4 on coffee isn't going to make me a millionaire.
Well, mathematically, over 30 years, maybe not a millionaire, but it adds up. But the source argues the primary benefit isn't the math, it's the psychology.
Okay.
When you make these small choices, you begin to feel capable.
Capable.
Yes. Feeling capable is inherently calming. It builds self-efficacy. You're proving to yourself, I can make a choice that is good for me. And that confidence, it snowballs.
So it's proof of concept. You do the small thing, you feel good, so you do another small thing.
And the source points out that slow change feels safer. Fast change is exciting, but it triggers the brain's resistance mechanisms. We naturally resist radical shifts. Slow change, one small habit becoming normal, then another, it bypasses that resistance. As the text says, money responds well to patience.
Money responds well to patience. I feel like we live in a world that demands money respond to speed. High-frequency trading, instant transfers, crypto spikes. Patience feels vintage.
But patience is where the peace is. And that leads us into the broader philosophy of the source, simplicity.
Right.
Now, simple living is a trendy term. We usually think of empty white rooms, minimal furniture, maybe one fork.
The aesthetic of minimalism.
Right. But the text defines simplicity differently. It defines it as choosing less noise. And this brings us back to the cognitive load of modern life. We are just drowning in choices.
We are.
Every single purchase you make, every item you bring into your life asks something from your mind.
It's not just the money cost, it's the mental cost.
Think about buying a new pair of headphones. It sounds simple. But you have to research models, compare prices, read reviews, worry about shipping, worry if you pick the right color.
Worry about the return policy.
Exactly. That is mental energy. That is glucose burning in your brain.
And we do that 10 times a day. No wonder we're exhausted.
The source explains it perfectly. When you buy less, your mind works less. And when the mind works less, it rests more.
So frugality isn't just about keeping money in your wallet. It's about keeping energy in your brain.
It's cognitive conservation. We all suffer from decision fatigue. By the end of the day, our ability to make good choices is just eroded because we've made 1,000 tiny decisions. If you adopt a philosophy of enough, knowing what you like and sticking to it, you just opt out of that cycle.
You don't have to process the marketing because you already know you're good. You have enough.
Exactly. And this connects to the idea of routines. The source calls them gentle routines.
Now, routine can sound boring. We're taught to shake things up, be spontaneous.
In our hyper-novelty culture, yes, we want new experiences constantly. But the source argues that routines act as safety signals to the body.
How does a routine signal safety?
Well, think about your primal brain. It's constantly scanning for danger. When your environment is predictable, when you have the same morning ritual, the same standard dinner on Tuesdays.
The same budgeting time.
Yes, it sends a message to that primal brain. Nothing is wrong. You're safe. There are no tigers here.
Because there are no surprises.
Exactly. And safety invites rest. In a chaotic world, creating pockets of predictability, whether that's a soft outline budget or just having oatmeal every morning, is a profound form of self-care.
It's letting your guard down.
It creates a container where you can actually relax, rather than constantly adapting to new inputs.
So if we look at the arc of this deep dive, we've moved from the soft pressure of anxiety, that hum in the morning, to this idea of gentle routines and clarity. It's a really cohesive argument for just lowering the volume on your financial life.
It is. It's about moving from a relationship with money that is adversarial, where you're fighting your impulses, fighting the market, fighting your budget, to one that's cooperative.
And kindness seems to be the glue holding it all together. That's what I really took away from this source. The text explicitly mentions kindness toward oneself.
Which is incredibly rare in financial advice. Usually the tone is discipline, grit, hustle.
Stop buying avocado toast.
Right. It's shameful. But this source reminds us that a peaceful life isn't built overnight. It's built gently, through small choices.
And you're allowed to learn slowly.
Yes, you are allowed to learn slowly. You are allowed to change your mind.
That permission to learn slowly feels like the ultimate stress reliever. There is no deadline for getting this right. I don't have to fix my entire financial life by Friday.
No, you just need to find calmer ways. That's the goal. Not perfection, but calm.
Yeah.
Because as the source connects in the end, everything flows downstream from this state of mind. It says, when money feels calmer, life feels lighter. And when life feels lighter, sleep comes more easily.
And in the current climate, where sleep is a commodity and stress is the default, That is a high-value return on investment.
It's the ultimate metric of success. Not net worth, but rest. If your money strategy is keeping you up at night, it's the wrong strategy no matter what the math says.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listener with a final thought from the text. We talk a lot about life being richer or more successful, but the source uses the word lighter.
Lighter is such a visceral feeling. It's the absence of that heavy backpack we talked about at the start. It's the absence of the hum.
So here's the question for you to carry into your day or your evening. What would lighter look like for you tomorrow? Not 5 years from now when you're debt-free, but just tomorrow. Maybe it's pausing before that one purchase and asking if it adds calm. Maybe it's ignoring the stock market news for 24 hours. Or maybe it's just trusting yourself a little bit more than you did today.
Just a little bit. That's all it takes to start.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.
Take care.
You know how sometimes you hear a phrase in English that just stops you? Not because it's complicated, but because it's so perfectly, well, English. Well, you, our listeners, you sent us down a bit of a rabbit hole with 20 such phrases, these lesser-known idioms, that are just packed with flavor.
Yeah, some really interesting ones came through.
Totally. So think of this as maybe your shortcut to sounding less like you're reading a textbook.
And more like you're actually living the language.
Exactly. Our mission today, it's pretty simple. Unpack these gems, figure out what they really mean, and, you know, how you can maybe weave them into your everyday conversation.
To really nail that natural English flow.
Right. So ready to explore beyond the usual it's raining cats and dogs?
Definitely. Let's do it.
Okay, let's kick things off with one that sounds a bit, well, crunchy. Bite the biscuit.
Bite the biscuit. It's a curious one, isn't it? It essentially boils down to having to face an unpleasant situation.
Right.
Or, you know, accept something difficult, even if it's the absolute last thing you want to do.
So like gritting your teeth and getting on with it.
Exactly. What's interesting about this, I think, is that sense of quiet resignation it carries. It's not really about fighting back,
No.
but more about stoically getting through something.
Right. And the example from an article nails it. I didn't want to go to the dentist, but I had to bite the biscuit and make the appointment.
Yeah, we've all been there, haven't we?
Oh, totally. That moment where you just have to brace yourself and get on with something you're dreading, it's just so much more evocative than saying, I had to do it.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there's maybe a hint of that British stiff upper lip in there. That idea of just getting on with things without too much fuss.
Could be, yeah.
It's a very understated way of expressing a pretty common struggle.
Okay, next up we have one that paints a rather dramatic and unfortunately often all too familiar picture. Throw someone under the bus.
Ooh, yeah. This idiom is definitely on the sharper side.
Mm-hmm.
To throw someone under the bus means to betray them, basically for your own benefit. Often in a public setting, like work.
So sacrificing them to save yourself.
Pretty much. You're sacrificing their well-being or their reputation to make yourself look better or, you know, avoid blame. The imagery is just brutal, isn't it?
It really is. And the example in the article couldn't be clearer. During the meeting, Mark threw Jane under the bus just to look good in front of the boss. Ouch.
Ouch.
We've probably all witnessed or maybe even been on the receiving end of something like that. It really cuts to the core of that kind of self-serving behavior.
It does.
Why under the bus, though? Is there any specific origin there, do you know?
Well, the exact origin is a bit murky, actually.
Yeah.
But the bus, in this context, it clearly symbolizes something large, powerful, dangerous.
Right. You wouldn't survive that.
No. So the act of throwing someone in its path vividly conveys that idea of utter betrayal and potential harm to the person being sacrificed.
Like being completely abandoned.
Yeah, it's a very visceral image.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Shifting gears to something that brings maybe a wry smile to my face, especially if you've ever tried to coordinate, well, pretty much anything with more than two people.
Oh, let me guess. Like herding cats.
You got it. Like herding cats.
It's such a wonderfully vivid and humorous way to describe a task that is just incredibly difficult, bordering on impossible to manage.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Cats are independent creatures, right? Getting them to move in a coordinated way, it's chaos. Pure chaos.
The example from the source is perfect. Trying to organize my group of friends for a trip was like herding cats.
Oh, I feel that.
I think anyone who's ever planned a group outing just let out a collective sigh of recognition there.
Definitely.
What makes this idiom so effective, do you think? Is it just the inherent difficulty of dealing with cats?
I think it's the perfect storm, really. The cat's independent nature combined with the implied frustration of the person trying to control them.
Right, that feeling of helplessness.
Exactly. There's a sense of futility and a shared understanding that some tasks are just inherently unruly, resistant to organization.
Wow.
The humor comes from that relatable feeling of being completely overwhelmed.
Now, here's one that sounds like a fantastic motto for self-preservation. Not my circus, not my monkeys.
Huh. Exactly. This idiom is brilliant. It's all about establishing healthy boundaries.
Okay.
When you say, not my circus, not my monkeys, you're clearly stating that a particular situation or drama or problem,
Right.
it's just not your responsibility.
Right. I'm out.
Precisely. You're choosing not to get involved. It's a way of detaching yourself from other people's chaos.
The example is so concise and effective. They can argue all they want. It's not my circus, not my monkeys. It's a pretty direct way to say, I'm staying out of this. It really speaks to a desire to protect your own peace of mind, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Where do you think the circus and monkeys imagery comes from? It's so specific.
Well, the circus, right.
Yeah.
With its inherent spectacle and often unpredictable nature. That represents a chaotic situation.
Okay, makes sense.
And the monkeys, often seen as mischievous, difficult to control, they symbolize the problematic individuals involved.
Ah, I see.
So by saying it's not your circus or your monkeys, you're basically disclaiming ownership of the whole messy situation and the responsibility for managing it.
Okay, this next one resonates deeply in our, well, often frantic modern lives. Burning the candle at both ends.
Oh, yes. Burning the candle at both ends. It paints a very clear picture, doesn't it? Someone who is just overworking themselves, not getting enough rest.
Yeah.
They're depleting their energy reserves at a totally unsustainable rate, much like a candle consumed from both ends will burn down incredibly quickly.
It really speaks to that lifestyle of constant activity without adequate recovery.
Exactly.
The article provides a really common scenario. She's studying and working 2 jobs, burning the candle at both ends.
Classic example.
It's such a vivid way to describe exhaustion and, the potential for burnout. It's almost a warning, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think the image of the candle being consumed from 2 sides really emphasizes the rapid depletion of resources, in this case, someone's health, their energy.
Right.
It implicitly suggests that this pace, well, it just can't be maintained indefinitely.
Yeah.
It'll eventually lead to negative consequences.
Yeah, you'll hit a wall. Okay, here's an idiom that I think we've all felt at one point or another when faced with a tough choice. Caught between 2 stools.
Caught between 2 stools. Yes, this perfectly illustrates that feeling of being unable to decide between 2 options.
Like you're stuck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're in a really precarious position, unable to comfortably commit to either choice, and, well, trying to sit on both simultaneously will likely lead to a fall, right?
Metaphorically speaking.
Metaphorically, yes. It's a state of indecision and potential discomfort.
The example given is, he's caught between 2 stools, take the job abroad or stay close to family.
Oof, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that feeling of being torn, where each option has significant pros and cons, and choosing one means potentially losing out on the other. It's a real dilemma.
Exactly. It highlights the difficulty of making a decision when both options seem appealing, or maybe when choosing one entails a significant sacrifice.
Yeah.
You're just stuck in the middle, unable to move forward comfortably.
And for one with a bit more dramatic flair, something that sounds like a spectacular failure, go down in flames.
Go down in flames. Yes, this one vividly describes a failure that is sudden, often very public, and quite catastrophic.
So not just failing, but failing big time.
Precisely. It's not just a minor setback. It implies a complete and dramatic collapse of something like a project, a business venture, maybe even a personal endeavor.
Right.
The flames part really adds that element of, destruction and finality.
The example is stark. The company's new product launch went down in flames due to poor planning.
Yeah, you can almost see the metaphorical explosion, right?
Totally. The utter devastation of a failed attempt. It's certainly a more impactful way to say something didn't succeed.
It is. The imagery evokes a sense of complete, utter failure, leaving very little room for recovery. It's a memorable and dramatic way to describe a significant disaster.
Let's move to something a bit more celebratory now, an idiom that suggests a night of uninhibited fun. Paint the town red.
Paint the town red. This is a wonderfully exuberant idiom. It just means to go out and have a wild, lively, festive time.
Well, letting loose.
Yeah, often involving partying, general merriment. It suggests a night of letting loose and enjoying oneself to the absolute fullest.
The example is, after our exams, we went out and painted the town red.
Sounds about right.
It definitely conjures up images of celebration and carefree fun. It makes you wonder, though, why red? Is there any historical significance to that color here?
That's a fascinating question, actually. While the exact origins are debated, the color red has long been associated with excitement, passion, even a bit of rebellion.
Okay.
So it's possible the phrase originally implied a more, let's say, riotous or even slightly mischievous form of celebration, metaphorically coloring the town with their energetic activities.
Interesting. Okay, here's one that describes a sudden and intense loss of temper. Fly off the handle?
Fly off the handle. Yeah, this means to suddenly become very angry and just lose control of your emotion.
Zap.
Exactly. Yeah. It suggests a quick and unexpected outburst of temper, much like, say, an axe head suddenly detaching from its handle and flying away.
Wow. Okay.
The emphasis is really on the suddenness and the loss of control.
The example provided is quite clear. Dad flew off the handle when he saw the broken window.
Yep. You can almost picture the sudden explosion of anger.
Totally. What does the handle symbolize in this context, then?
Well, the handle represents control, stability.
Right.
So when someone flies off the handle, they lose that control, and their anger becomes erratic, unpredictable. The imagery effectively conveys that sudden, uncontrolled nature of the outburst.
And now, a more direct, though definitely informal way to ask someone to calm down. Keep your shirt on.
Keep your shirt on. Yes, this is very colloquial, often lighthearted. It's a way of telling someone to stay calm, be patient.
Chill out.
Yeah, chill out. Don't get overly agitated or angry. It's often used when someone's acting impatiently or seems like they're about to lose their temper. There's a certain casualness to it.
The example is straightforward. Keep your shirt on. The food will be ready soon.
Yeah.
It's a pretty clear way of saying, relax. There's no need to get worked up. There's definitely a touch of informal humor there, isn't there?
Absolutely. I think it's a slightly absurd image, right? Implying the person is so worked up they might literally start taking off their clothes.
Right.
This exaggeration helps to lighten the mood and encourage them to calm down.
Okay. This next one is definitely not for polite company in most situations. Put a sock in it.
Ooh, yeah. Put a sock in it. It's a very rude, very direct way to tell someone to be quiet.
So, use with caution.
Extreme caution. It's generally considered quite impolite and should be used very sparingly, if at all. It conveys a strong desire for someone to just stop talking.
Why?
Often because what they're saying is annoying or unwanted or just going on too long.
The example given is, he wouldn't stop talking, so she told him to put a sock in it. It's clear from this that it's a phrase used out of frustration.
Definitely.
And likely to cause offense. It's certainly not something you'd use in a professional setting, I imagine.
Absolutely not.
Where does this rather bizarre imagery even come from? A sock.
Well, the origin is thought to be related to early phonographs, actually.
Really?
Yeah, where a sock or maybe a piece of cloth was sometimes literally stuffed into the horn to dampen the sound. So applying that to a person's speech is a pretty crude way of saying their voice needs to be silenced or muffled.
Wow. Okay. Moving on to a more strategic and insightful idiom. Know which way the wind is blowing.
Right. To know which way the wind is blowing means to be perceptive, aware of the current situation, the trends, the prevailing opinions.
Before you act.
Exactly. Before making a decision or taking action. It suggests having foresight and understanding the direction things are heading, whether that's in politics, business, or just social situations.
The example provided is, good politicians always know which way the wind is blowing.
A classic example again.
It highlights the importance of being politically astute, understanding public sentiment to make effective choices. How does someone practically know which way the wind is blowing? It sounds a bit mystical.
It's not mystical, really. It involves paying close attention to various indicators, public opinion polls, sure, but also current events, social media trends, market research.
Okay.
Even subtle shifts in people's attitudes and behaviors. It's about being observant, analytical, and able to interpret these signs to anticipate future developments.
Got it. Okay, here's an idiom that paints a picture of minimal staffing. Skeleton crew.
Skeleton crew. Yeah, this refers to the absolute minimum number of staff required to keep a business or a service or an operation running at just a basic level.
Just the bones.
Exactly. It implies a significant reduction in personnel, often due to circumstances like holidays, off-peak hours, or maybe budget constraints. The image is of just the essential framework remaining.
The example is, Only a skeleton crew was working during the holiday weekend.
Yep.
It really conveys that idea of a place being minimally staffed with just the necessary people to keep things ticking over.
Exactly. It emphasizes the bare essentials being in place, with most of the usual workforce absent. It suggests a limited capacity and perhaps a slower pace of operations, too.
Now, for an idiom that helps to keep minor issues in perspective, a storm in a teacup.
A storm in a teacup. I love this one. It's a wonderful idiom that describes a situation where a small, insignificant problem or disagreement is just blown way out of proportion.
Made into a huge drama.
Exactly. Exaggerated, made to seem much more serious and dramatic than it actually is. The contrast between the immense power of a storm and the tiny scale of a teacup really highlights the absurdity of the overreaction.
The example is, their fight was just a storm in a teacup. It's a great way to downplay a petty argument or someone making a massive deal out of something trivial.
It is. It's quite a gentle way, actually, of suggesting that people are overreacting and that the issue at hand is, well, not as significant as they're making it out to be.
Here's one that can be incredibly frustrating to encounter, especially when you feel like you're making progress. Move the goalposts.
Ooh, yes. Move the goalposts. This describes a particularly unfair tactic where someone changes the rules or the requirements of a task or competition after you've already started working towards the original objectives.
So frustrating.
Incredibly. It creates a sense of injustice and makes it much harder, if not impossible, to achieve success because the target keeps shifting.
The example is infuriatingly relatable. I was about to complete the task when they moved the goalposts again.
You just want to scream.
Right, that feeling of constantly having your efforts undermined because the criteria for success are never fixed.
It really speaks to a lack of integrity, I think, and can be incredibly demotivating. It suggests the person moving the goalposts is either deliberately trying to prevent success,
Or just disorganize.
or maybe just being inconsistent and unfair in their expectations. Either way, it's not good.
Okay, this next one suggests a sudden and often opportunistic departure. Jump ship.
Jump ship.
Yeah. This means to suddenly leave a job or an organization or a situation, often when things are becoming difficult or unfavorable.
Getting out while the getting's good. Or bad.
Kind of. It implies a swift and sometimes unexpected departure, often with the implication of seeking a better opportunity elsewhere. The nautical imagery is quite strong here.
The example is 3 employees jump ship after the new manager arrived.
Tells a story, doesn't it?
It does. It suggests maybe a lack of confidence in the new leadership, or perhaps a desire to escape a potentially negative environment. Why ship, specifically?
Well, the ship symbolizes the organization or the situation. So, just as sailors might abandon a sinking or troubled vessel.
People who jump ship are leaving a situation they perceive as failing, or maybe just no longer beneficial to them. It often implies a degree of urgency and self-preservation.
Makes sense. Okay, here's an idiom that describes an unexpected disruption or obstacle. Throw a spanner in the works.
Throw a spanner in the works. Or, as Americans might say, a wrench.
Ah, right. Spanner wrench.
Yeah. It means to do something that causes unexpected problems or hinders the progress of a plan or operation.
Okay.
The image of a spanner, or a wrench, being thrown into machinery vividly illustrates how a small, unexpected interference can bring everything grinding to a halt or cause significant disruption.
The example is, the weather threw a spanner in the works of our beach plans.
A classic British example.
Indeed. It perfectly highlights how unforeseen circumstances can derail even the best-laid plans.
Exactly. It emphasizes that element of surprise and the way in which a seemingly minor obstacle can have a really significant negative impact on progress.
Okay, this next one is all about efficiency and getting straight to the point. Cut to the chase.
Love this one. Cut to the chase. It means get to the main point, the most important part of a discussion or story, without all the unnecessary introductions or details or preamble.
Stop beating around the bush.
Exactly. It's about being direct and valuing brevity in communication. It implies wanting to avoid wasting time on less relevant information.
The example is direct and to the point itself. Let's cut to the chase. Are you joining us or not?
Perfect.
It's a clear and efficient way to ask for a decision.
It is. It prioritizes the essential information and seeks a quick resolution by bypassing any unnecessary fluff or background. Very useful.
Here's an idiom that advises taking a moment for things to settle down. Let the dust settle.
Let the dust settle.
Yeah.
Such wise advice packed into a simple phrase. It means to wait for a chaotic or confusing situation to calm down.
Take a breath.
Yeah, and for things to become clearer before taking action or making a decision. It suggests allowing time for emotions to subside and for a clearer perspective to emerge once the initial disruption is past.
The example is good advice. Let's let the dust settle before making a big decision.
Definitely.
It highlights the importance of not rushing into important choices when things are still uncertain or, emotional.
The analogy of stirred-up dust obscuring your vision is really effective here, I think.
Yeah.
Just as you need to wait for physical dust to settle to see clearly, you sometimes need to allow time for a situation to stabilize before you can make a sound judgment.
And finally, our 20th idiom. We arrive at one that evokes a sense of exploration and discovery. Off the beaten track.
Off the beaten track. Yeah, this refers to a place or a route or maybe an experience that isn't commonly visited or known.
Somewhere different.
Exactly. It suggests something secluded, less conventional, and often more interesting or authentic or unique than the mainstream options. It appeals to that sense of adventure, doesn't it?
It really does.
The desire to discover hidden gems.
The example is inviting. We found a charming little cafe off the beaten track.
Sounds lovely.
It conjures up the idea of stumbling upon something special and undiscovered, away from the usual tourist crowds or busy streets.
Exactly. It speaks to the allure of the less traveled path and the potential for finding something truly memorable and distinct.
Well, there you have it, a deep dive into 20 fascinating, less common English idioms. Hopefully, you've picked up a few new linguistic tools to add some extra color to your English.
That article you shared was a goldmine. What's so valuable about these idioms, I think, is how they often encapsulate complex ideas or feelings in such a concise and memorable way.
Yeah, they're like shortcuts.
They really are. They offer a real shortcut to expressing yourself more naturally and with greater nuance.
Absolutely. And as we've seen, they often carry little nuggets of cultural insight too, don't they?
They really do.
My advice, don't try to cram them all in at once. Pick a couple that you really like the sound of.
Yeah, the ones that resonate.
Exactly. And try them out in your conversations. Like anything, practice makes perfect.
And if we just step back and look at the bigger picture for a second, mastering these kinds of idiomatic expressions isn't just about improving your vocabulary list.
No, it's more than that.
It's about gaining a deeper appreciation for the richness and the creativity of the English language and maybe the cultural perspectives embedded within it.
Yeah, that's a great point. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other hidden layers of meaning are waiting to be uncovered in the way we speak every single day?
Exactly. Food for thought. Okay, so we really need to talk about this optimization trap. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? This era where every single part of our lives is something to be, I don't know, hacked or tracked or improved.
Every single thing.
Yeah, we track our steps, we monitor our REM cycles, we color code our calendars, and we listen to deep dives like this one, hoping to get that one little nugget that'll make us 10% more efficient.
It's the prevailing mindset, isn't it? The whole fix-it mentality.
Totally.
If you feel tired, there must be a supplement for it. If you feel anxious, there's got to be a productivity hack to organize your way out of it. We treat being human like it's software that needs another patch.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, it's just exhausting. It feels like we're in a race where the finish line just keeps moving. But that is exactly why I'm so interested in the source stack you brought in today.
Right.
Because on paper, this looks like the complete opposite of some high-performance manual. In fact, I think you called it a sleep-friendly article.
That's right. And I want to be really clear about what that means. This isn't a medical journal. It's not some breaking news report.
Okay.
It's a text that was originally designed to be soft. It's wordy, it's rhythmic, and its main job is to lull the reader into a state of calm. It's counter-programming.
So wait, are we doing a deep dive into a bedtime story?
In a way, yeah. But, and this is the key thing, this is why we're here, it's a Trojan horse. Because beneath that, that soothing, sleepy vibe, this text actually lays out a pretty profound psychology of non-interference. It argues that we don't need to engineer ourselves, we just need to notice ourselves.
Noticing versus fixing.
Exactly. It offers a framework for understanding why we do what we do, but without all the pressure to change it immediately.
That's the distinction we're going to explore today, because as I was reading this, I realized it covers 3 huge areas. The signals our bodies send, why we get so burned out, and how we actually process emotions. And it does it in a way that feels Well, it feels surprisingly scientific for something that's meant to put you to sleep.
It is surprisingly rigorous. It suggests that psychology isn't just happening in your brain or in a therapy session.
Right.
It's happening in the way you hold your shoulders or the way you break eye contact or even how you feel when you're trying to pick a pasta sauce at the grocery store.
Okay, let's start there with the physical. The source calls it the silent conversation. And I think most of us assume we know what body language is. We've all seen those videos on like how to power pose to dominate a meeting or whatever.
Right, the whole dominance narrative. But this source just flips that on its head. It's not about how to project power. It's about how to gather data.
Gather data there.
The core idea here is that the body is constantly broadcasting a signal, and our problem is that we immediately judge that signal instead of just, reading it.
Okay, give me an example of that judgment, because I feel like I'm pretty good at reading people.
Sure. Let's take eye contact. It's the most primal signal we have. The source notes that when someone holds our eye contact, we feel noticed. It sort of validates our existence. But let's look at the flip side. You're in a meeting, you're pitching an idea you're really passionate about, and the person across from you is, I don't know, looking at the ceiling or staring at the table. What's your immediate gut reaction?
Oh, yeah, 100%. My first thought is I'm tanking.
Right.
I'm thinking, okay, they're bored. They hate this. They think I'm an idiot. It feels like, I don't know, a total rejection.
Exactly. You've assigned a motive, you've judged the behavior as disinterest, but the source is really urging us to just pause that judgment.
Why?
It argues that context overrides content. So that person looking at the ceiling, they might be an auditory learner, they might be visualizing the concept you're describing, and to do that, they have to cut off their visual input. So by looking away, they're actually focusing harder.
That's a really fair point. I actually do that sometimes. If I'm really trying to find the right word, I'll look down or away.
But when you do it, you know you're thinking. When someone else does it, you assume they're checking out.
Ouch. Yeah.
The source is just saying that avoiding eye contact doesn't automatically mean something negative about you. It could be shyness or distance or deep thought. The key is just that there's no single meaning.
So the advice here is basically to stop taking body language so personally.
Essentially, yes. If you treat body language as information rather than feedback on your performance, the whole dynamic changes. You stop spiraling into insecurity and you can stay present.
What about posture? Because that's another area where I feel like there's a lot of cultural baggage. Sit up straight is like the first command you learn as a kid.
It is. We connect posture with morality or discipline. A slumped posture means you're lazy. A rigid one means you're attentive.
Right.
But the text invites us to just drop that moral framework entirely.
So if I'm, slumped over my desk like a turtle, which I definitely was prepping for this, that's not bad.
It's not bad. It's a story. The source asks you to see your posture as a status report from your nervous system.
A status report. I like that.
Yeah. If your shoulders are hiked up by your ears, your body is telling a story of protection. You're guarding your neck. You're probably in a state of high alert or stress about something.
That's actually a really helpful visual. So instead of thinking, I need to fix my posture because I look sloppy, I could think, why is my body trying to protect my neck right now? What am I reacting to?
Precisely. It turns your body into a dashboard, and the source makes this fantastic point. There is no right or wrong posture. There is only information. If you notice you're collapsed in your chair, that is information telling you you're depleted. If you're rigid, that is information that you're bracing for something.
And once you have that information, then you can decide what to do.
Right.
But you can't do anything if you're just busy criticizing yourself for slouching.
Exactly. And this idea extends to the third element the source covers, personal space. This is one that varies so much between cultures and people, but the source frames respecting personal space as a form of kindness.
I have a friend who is a classic close talker.
Yeah.
The type, they stand just a little too close. And I always feel this visceral need to back up. It feels aggressive, even when they're being friendly.
That visceral reaction, that's your amygdala firing. We all have a comfort zone. It's this invisible bubble where we feel safe. And when it's breached, even by a friend, our baseline anxiety just spikes.
Yeah.
The kindness the source talks about is just having an awareness of that bubble. It's about reading the room physically. If you step towards someone and they lean back, that's a signal, not a rejection, just a boundary.
Okay, so we've got this constant stream of data coming in, eyes, posture, space. But a lot of the time, we just ignore those signals until the whole system crashes. And that brings us to the second big pillar of this deep dive, the paradox of being tired.
This is the section of the source where I think that sleep-friendly nature really shines because it gets at something so many of us struggle with. The difference between just being sleepy and being truly depleted.
I think we use the word tired as its catch-all term.
Yeah.
But the source describes the specific thing where you can get 8 hours of sleep, you can spend all of Sunday on the couch, but Monday morning you feel like you've been hit by a truck. Physically, you rested, but you're just exhausted.
The source calls this mental fatigue, and it's really different from physical fatigue, and it's important to get the mechanism here. Your brain burns energy, a lot of it.
Okay.
The source lists 3 specific invisible drains that empty your battery even when you're not moving a muscle. Constant thinking, emotional effort, and this is the big one, decision-making.
Okay, let's drill down on decision-making. I don't think we realize how much that costs us.
Oh, it's massive. Every single time you make a choice, whether it's should I send this email now or later, or which brand of toothpaste do I buy, you are literally consuming glucose. You're using up a finite resource. It's called decision fatigue.
Okay,
Great.
that explains so much. That explains the grocery store paralysis.
Oh, it's a real thing.
I've literally stood there in the pasta aisle, just staring, and I feel physically heavy, like I can't even grab a jar. I just thought I was being indecisive.
But you're not. You're out of feel. You're running on fumes. The source argues that these little micro decisions pile up. So you might be resting on the couch, but if you're scrolling through Netflix for 45 minutes trying to pick something, your brain is running a marathon.
You're not resting, you're processing.
Exactly. And this leads to this crucial distinction the source makes between sleep and quiet.
Okay, what's the difference?
Well, sleep is a biological repair process, but quiet is a sensory state. You can be asleep and still have a really noisy, mind-vivid dreams, grinding your teeth, processing the day's stress. Your mind doesn't just need to go unconscious. It specifically asks for a reduction of input. It needs a break from the data stream.
And when we don't give it that quiet, things start to glitch. The source talks about slow thinking.
Yes. And be honest, how do you usually react when your thinking gets slow? When you can't find a word or you have to reread the same sentence 3 times?
I get frustrated. I drink more coffee. I try to force my brain into gear. I tell myself I'm losing my edge or I'm just being stupid today.
We see it as a failure, a malfunction, but the source offers a completely different way to frame it.
Which is?
It argues that slow thinking isn't a failure, it's a signal. It's actually a safety mechanism.
A safety mechanism against what?
Against total burnout. Think of it like a governor on an engine. If the engine is overheating, the system deliberately slows it down to prevent an explosion. The text says, and I love this phrase, the mind is asking for softness.
Softness. Wow, that is such a loaded word. In a world that's all about high performance, we want hardness.
Yeah.
We want grit.
Which is why this is counter-programming. The source suggests that when you hit that wall of brain fog, the most efficient thing you can do is not to push through, but to yield, to accept the slowness. If you stop fighting the fatigue and just treat it as a valid request from your body, the resistance drops. And interestingly, you recover faster.
It's the difference between driving a car with the emergency brake on versus just pulling over for 10 minutes.
That's it, exactly. We spend so much energy just trying to override our own safety signals.
So, okay, we've covered the body signals and the brain's battery.
Yeah.
But we have to talk about the third piece, which is usually the most confusing one. Our emotions.
The quiet logic of emotions. This is the section that really challenges the idea that we're rational actors who occasionally get emotional.
Oh.
The source suggests it's the other way around. We are emotional beings who occasionally use logic.
I hate admitting that. I love to think I'm logical. I make pro and con lists.
Oh, the pro and con list is usually just a way to justify the decision your gut already made.
Okay, fair enough.
But the point the source makes is that emotions aren't usually these loud explosions. We tend to only notice them when they're extreme, rage, grief, euphoria. But the text says they're actually gentle guides. They whisper before they shout.
But we ignore the whisper.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Because the whisper is, well, it's inconvenient.
Give me a scenario. How does this play out on a normal day?
Okay, imagine you're at a dinner party. You've been there for 2 hours. You start to feel this really subtle sense of tension, maybe a little tightness in your chest, or just a slight drop in your mood. That's the whisper. It's saying, we're done. Time to go.
But then the logical brain steps in and says, No, it's rude to leave early. You haven't said goodbye to the host. You should stay another hour.
Exactly. So you stay, you override the signal, and what happens an hour later?
I'm cranky, I'm snapping at my partner on the drive home, and I feel totally drained. The whisper became a scream.
There you go. The source suggests that if we practice what it calls calm reflection, just slowing down enough to ask, does this feel right now?
Yeah.
We can catch those signals while they're still manageable.
Does this feel right now? That's the question.
It is. And notice how immediate it is. Not, does this make sense for my 5-year plan, but does this feel right in this second? It grounds you in the present reality of your own nervous system.
But asking the question is only half of it. The other half is how we treat the answer. And this leads to what I think is maybe the most practical tool in this whole deep dive, the shift from criticism to curiosity.
I agree completely. This is the how-to. The source points out that our internal monologue is usually an interrogation. We ask why, but we ask it aggressively.
Why am I so anxious? Why can't I just focus? Why am I like this?
It's an accusation. It implies there's a defect that needs to be found and stomped out. And when you attack yourself, your body just responds with more stress. It becomes a loop.
So what's the alternative? How do you break that loop?
The source suggests a really simple linguistic shift. Instead of asking why, you make a statement starting with one word. Interesting.
Interesting. Huh.
Interesting. I feel really defensive right now. Or, interesting. My heart is beating fast.
It's almost, I don't know, it's kind of scientific, right? A little detached.
And that's the whole point. It creates a gap between you and the emotion. You're no longer the person being the problem. You're the observer noticing the phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
Curiosity is a neutral state. Criticism is a negative state. When you're curious, you can learn. When you're critical, you just shut down.
I'm trying it right now. Interesting that I feel the need to fill every silence in this conversation.
And that awareness might let you just be comfortable with a pause. It changes the behavior without any of the shame.
That really is the thread connecting all three of these things, isn't it? Whether we're talking about posture or decision fatigue or emotional whispers, it's all about taking the shame out of just being human.
It is. We spend so much of our lives fighting our own biology. We fight the slump in our shoulders. We fight the afternoon brain fog. We fight the urge to leave the party. We see our own natural rhythms as obstacles we have to overcome.
And this sleepy little article is quietly suggesting that maybe if we stopped fighting, we wouldn't be so tired.
That's the core philosophy it lands on. Psychology doesn't need fixing. It needs listening. When you just notice things without pressure, without that immediate need to hack them, life feels lighter. And when life feels lighter, rest comes more naturally.
It's a virtuous cycle instead of a vicious one.
Precisely. If you listen to your body, you can understand the fatigue. If you understand the fatigue, you grant yourself the quiet. If you have the quiet, you can actually hear your emotions guiding you. It's all one connected system.
So we've unpacked a lot today. We've gone from the grocery aisle to the dinner party to the silence of our own minds. But as we wrap up, I want to leave the listener with something concrete, because we promised this wasn't just about sleep. It was about waking up.
I think the challenge for you, listening today, is to conduct a small experiment. In the next hour, your body or your mind is going to send you a signal. You might yawn, you might feel a flash of irritation, you might find yourself staring blankly at a screen.
And the impulse will be to judge it, to say, wake up, or don't be annoyed, or get back to work.
Right. The challenge is to catch that impulse, stop, and just say, interesting. Treat it as a message, not a malfunction. Ask yourself this: if I viewed this fatigue or this emotion not as a problem to be solved, but as a request from my body, what would I do differently in the next 5 minutes?
Maybe you just close the laptop. Maybe
Yeah.
you take a breath. Maybe you just let your shoulders drop.
Whatever it is, it starts with listening.
Interesting. I think I'm going to carry that word with me for the rest of the week. Thank you for walking us through this. It's been genuinely very eye-opening.
It was a pleasure to unpack it with you.
And thank you for listening. We'll see you on the next deep dive. Take care of yourselves. Okay, so we really need to talk about this optimization trap.
Mm-hmm.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? This era where every single part of our lives is something to be, I don't know, hacked or tracked or improved.
Every single thing.
Yeah, we track our steps, we monitor our REM cycles, we color code our calendars, and we listen to deep dives like this one, hoping to get that one little nugget that'll make us 10% more efficient.
It's the prevailing mindset, isn't it? The whole fix-it mentality.
Totally.
If you feel tired, there must be a supplement for it. If you feel anxious, there's got to be a productivity hack to organize your way out of it. We treat being human like it's software that needs another patch.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, it's just exhausting. It feels like we're in a race where the finish line just keeps moving. But that is exactly why I'm so interested in the source stack you brought in today.
Right.
Because on paper, this looks like the complete opposite of some high-performance manual. In fact, I think you called it a sleep-friendly article.
That's right. And I want to be really clear about what that means. This isn't a medical journal. It's not some breaking news report.
Okay.
It's a text that was originally designed to be soft. It's wordy, it's rhythmic, and its main job is to lull the reader into a state of calm. It's counter-programming.
So wait, are we doing a deep dive into a bedtime story?
In a way, yeah. But, and this is the key thing, this is why we're here, it's a Trojan horse. Because beneath that, that soothing, sleepy vibe, this text actually lays out a pretty profound psychology of non-interference. It argues that we don't need to engineer ourselves, we just need to notice ourselves.
Noticing versus fixing.
Exactly. It offers a framework for understanding why we do what we do, but without all the pressure to change it immediately.
That's the distinction we're going to explore today, because as I was reading this, I realized it covers 3 huge areas. The signals our bodies send, why we get so burned out, and how we actually process emotions. And it does it in a way that feels... well, it feels surprisingly scientific for something that's meant to put you to sleep.
It is surprisingly rigorous. It suggests that psychology isn't just happening in your brain or in a therapy session.
Right.
It's happening in the way you hold your shoulders or the way you break eye contact or even how you feel when you're trying to pick a pasta sauce at the grocery store.
Okay, let's start there with the physical. The source calls it the silent conversation. And I think most of us assume we know what body language is. We've all seen those videos on like how to power pose to dominate a meeting or whatever.
Right, the whole dominance narrative. But this source just flips that on its head. It's not about how to project power. It's about how to gather data.
Gather data there.
The core idea here is that the body is constantly broadcasting a signal. And our problem is that we immediately judge that signal instead of just, reading it.
Okay, give me an example of that judgment, because I feel like I'm pretty good at reading people.
Sure. Let's take eye contact. It's the most primal signal we have. The source notes that when someone holds our eye contact, we feel noticed. It sort of validates our existence. But let's look at the flip side. You're in a meeting, you're pitching an idea you're really passionate about, and the person across from you is, I don't know, looking at the ceiling or staring at the table. What's your immediate gut reaction?
Oh, yeah, 100%. My first thought is I'm tanking.
Right.
I'm thinking, okay, they're bored. They hate this. They think I'm an idiot. It feels like, I don't know, a total rejection.
Exactly. You've assigned a motive. You've judged the behavior as disinterest. But the source is really urging us to just pause that judgment.
Why?
It argues that context overrides content. So that person looking at the ceiling, they might be an auditory learner. They might be visualizing the concept you're describing. And to do that, they have to cut off their visual input. So by looking away, they're actually focusing harder.
That's a really fair point. I actually do that sometimes. If I'm really trying to find the right word, I'll look down or away.
But when you do it, you know you're thinking. When someone else does it, you assume they're checking out.
Ouch. Yeah.
The source is just saying that avoiding eye contact doesn't automatically mean something negative about you. It could be shyness or distance or deep thought. The key is just that there's no single meaning.
So the advice here is basically to stop taking body language so personally.
Essentially, yes. If you treat body language as information rather than feedback on your performance, the whole dynamic changes. You stop spiraling into insecurity and you can stay present.
What about posture? Because that's another area where I feel like there's a lot of cultural baggage. Sit up straight is like the first command you learn as a kid.
It is. We connect posture with morality or discipline. A slumped posture means you're lazy. A rigid one means you're attentive.
Right.
But the text invites us to just drop that moral framework entirely.
So if I'm, slumped over my desk like a turtle, which I definitely was prepping for this, that's not bad.
It's not bad. It's a story. The source asks you to see your posture as a status report from your nervous system.
A status report. I like that.
Yeah. If your shoulders are hiked up by your ears, your body is telling a story of protection. You're guarding your neck. You're probably in a state of high alert or stress about something.
That's actually a really helpful visual. So instead of thinking, I need to fix my posture because I look sloppy, I could think, why is my body trying to protect my neck right now? What am I reacting to?
Precisely. It turns your body into a dashboard, and the source makes this fantastic point. There is no right or wrong posture. There is only information. If you notice you're collapsed in your chair, that is information telling you you're depleted. If you're rigid, that is information that you're bracing for something.
And once you have that information, then you can decide what to do.
Right.
But you can't do anything if you're just busy criticizing yourself for slouching.
Exactly. And this idea extends to the third element the source covers, personal space. This is one that varies so much between cultures and people, but the source frames respecting personal space as a form of kindness.
I have a friend who is a classic close talker. You know the type, they stand just a little too close. And I always feel this visceral need to back up. It feels aggressive, even when they're being friendly.
That visceral reaction, that's your amygdala firing. We all have a comfort zone. It's this invisible bubble where we feel safe. And when it's breached, even by a friend, our baseline anxiety just spikes.
Yeah.
The kindness the source talks about is just having an awareness of that bubble. It's about reading the room physically. If you step towards someone and they lean back, that's a signal, not a rejection, just a boundary.
Okay, so we've got this constant stream of data coming in, eyes, posture, space. But a lot of the time, we just ignore those signals until the whole system crashes. And that brings us to the second big pillar of this deep dive, the paradox of being tired.
This is the section of the source where I think that sleep-friendly nature really shines because it gets at something so many of us struggle with. The difference between just being sleepy and being truly depleted.
I think we use the word tired as its catch-all term. But the source describes the specific thing where you can get 8 hours of sleep, you can spend all of Sunday on the couch, but Monday morning you feel like you've been hit by a truck. Physically, you rested, but you're just exhausted.
The source calls this mental fatigue, and it's really different from physical fatigue, and it's important to get the mechanism here. Your brain burns energy, a lot of it.
Okay.
The source lists 3 specific invisible drains that empty your battery even when you're not moving a muscle. Constant thinking, emotional effort, and this is the big one, decision-making.
Okay, let's drill down on decision-making. I don't think we realize how much that costs us.
Oh, it's massive. Every single time you make a choice, whether it's should I send this email now or later, or which brand of toothpaste do I buy, you are literally consuming glucose. You're using up a finite resource. It's called decision fatigue.
Okay, that explains so much. That explains the grocery store paralysis.
Oh, it's a real thing.
I've literally stood there in the pasta aisle, just staring, and I feel physically heavy, like I can't even grab a jar. I just thought I was being indecisive.
But you're not. You're out of feel. You're running on fumes. The source argues that these little micro decisions pile up. So you might be resting on the couch, but if you're scrolling through Netflix for 45 minutes trying to pick something, your brain is running a marathon.
You're not resting, you're processing.
Exactly. And this leads to this crucial distinction the source makes between sleep and quiet.
Okay, what's the difference?
Well, sleep is a biological repair process, but quiet is a sensory state. You can be asleep and still have a really noisy, mind-vivid dreams, grinding your teeth, processing the day's stress. Your mind doesn't just need to go unconscious. It specifically asks for a reduction of input. It needs a break from the data stream.
And when we don't give it that quiet, things start to glitch. The source talks about slow thinking.
Yes. And be honest, how do you usually react when your thinking gets slow? When you can't find a word or you have to reread the same sentence 3 times?
I get frustrated. I drink more coffee. I try to force my brain into gear. I tell myself I'm losing my edge or I'm just being stupid today.
We see it as a failure, a malfunction, but the source offers a completely different way to frame it.
Which is?
It argues that slow thinking isn't a failure, it's a signal. It's actually a safety mechanism.
A safety mechanism against what?
Against total burnout. Think of it like a governor on an engine. If the engine is overheating, the system deliberately slows it down to prevent an explosion. The text says, and I love this phrase, the mind is asking for softness.
Softness. Wow, that is such a loaded word. In a world that's all about high performance, we want hardness.
Yeah.
We want grit.
Which is why this is counter-programming. The source suggests that when you hit that wall of brain fog, the most efficient thing you can do is not to push through, but to yield, to accept the slowness. If you stop fighting the fatigue and just treat it as a valid request from your body, the resistance drops. And interestingly, you recover faster.
It's the difference between driving a car with the emergency brake on versus just pulling over for 10 minutes.
That's it, exactly. We spend so much energy just trying to override our own safety signals.
So, okay, we've covered the body signals and the brain's battery.
Yeah.
But we have to talk about the third piece, which is usually the most confusing one. Our emotions.
The quiet logic of emotions. This is the section that really challenges the idea that we're rational actors who occasionally get emotional.
Oh.
The source suggests it's the other way around. We are emotional beings who occasionally use logic.
I hate admitting that. I love to think I'm logical.
Mm-hmm.
I make pro and con lists.
Oh, the pro and con list is usually just a way to justify the decision your gut already made.
Okay, fair enough.
But the point the source makes is that emotions aren't usually these loud explosions. We tend to only notice them when they're extreme, rage, grief, euphoria. But the text says they're actually gentle guides. They whisper before they shout.
But we ignore the whisper.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Because the whisper is, well, it's inconvenient.
Give me a scenario.
Mm-hmm.
How does this play out on a normal day?
Okay, imagine you're at a dinner party. You've been there for 2 hours. You start to feel this really subtle sense of tension, maybe a little tightness in your chest, or just a slight drop in your mood. That's the whisper. It's saying, we're done. Time to go.
But then the logical brain steps in and says, no, it's rude to leave early. You haven't said goodbye to the host. You should stay another hour.
Exactly. So you stay, you override the signal, and what happens an hour later?
I'm cranky, I'm snapping at my partner on the drive home, and I feel totally drained. The whisper became a scream.
There you go. The source suggests that if we practice what it calls calm reflection, just slowing down enough to ask, does this feel right now?
Yeah.
We can catch those signals while they're still manageable.
Does this feel right now? That's the question.
It is. And notice how immediate it is. Not, does this make sense for my 5-year plan, but does this feel right in this second? It grounds you in the present reality of your own nervous system.
But asking the question is only half of it. The other half is how we treat the answer. And this leads to what I think is maybe the most practical tool in this whole deep dive, the shift from criticism to curiosity.
I agree completely. This is the how-to. The source points out that our internal monologue is usually an interrogation. We ask why, but we ask it aggressively.
Why am I so anxious? Why can't I just focus? Why am I like this?
It's an accusation. It implies there's a defect that needs to be found and stomped out. And when you attack yourself, your body just responds with more stress. It becomes a loop.
So what's the alternative? How do you break that loop?
The source suggests a really simple linguistic shift. Instead of asking why, you make a statement starting with one word. Interesting.
Interesting. Huh.
Interesting. I feel really defensive right now. Or, interesting. My heart is beating fast.
It's almost, I don't know, it's kind of scientific, right? A little detached.
And that's the whole point. It creates a gap between you and the emotion. You're no longer the person being the problem. You're the observer noticing the phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
Curiosity is a neutral state. Criticism is a negative state. When you're curious, you can learn. When you're critical, you just shut down.
I'm trying it right now. Interesting that I feel the need to fill every silence in this conversation.
And that awareness might let you just be comfortable with a pause. It changes the behavior without any of the shame.
That really is the thread connecting all three of these things, isn't it? Whether we're talking about posture or decision fatigue or emotional whispers, it's all about taking the shame out of just being human.
It is. We spend so much of our lives fighting our own biology. We fight the slump in our shoulders. We fight the afternoon brain fog. We fight the urge to leave the party. We see our own natural rhythms as obstacles we have to overcome.
And this sleepy little article is quietly suggesting that maybe if we stopped fighting, we wouldn't be so tired.
That's the core philosophy it lands on. Psychology doesn't need fixing. It needs listening. When you just notice things without pressure, without that immediate need to hack them, life feels lighter. And when life feels lighter, rest comes more naturally.
It's a virtuous cycle instead of a vicious one.
Precisely. If you listen to your body, you can understand the fatigue. If you understand the fatigue, you grant yourself the quiet. If you have the quiet, you can actually hear your emotions guiding you. It's all one connected system.
So we've unpacked a lot today. We've gone from the grocery aisle to the dinner party to the silence of our own minds. But as we wrap up, I want to leave the listener with something concrete because we promised this wasn't just about sleep. It was about waking up.
I think the challenge for you, listening today, is to conduct a small experiment. In the next hour, your body or your mind is going to send you a signal. You might yawn, you might feel a flash of irritation, you might find yourself staring blankly at a screen.
And the impulse will be to judge it, to say, wake up, or don't be annoyed, or get back to work.
Right. The challenge is to catch that impulse, stop, and just say, interesting. Treat it as a message, not a malfunction. Ask yourself this. If I viewed this fatigue or this emotion not as a problem to be solved, but as a request from my body, what would I do differently in the next 5 minutes?
Maybe you just close the laptop. Maybe
Yeah.
you take a breath. Maybe you just let your shoulders drop.
Whatever it is, it starts with listening.
Interesting. I think I'm going to carry that word with me for the rest of the week. Thank you for walking us through this. It's been genuinely very eye-opening.
It was a pleasure to unpack it with you.
And thank you for listening. We'll see you on the next Deep Dive. Take care of yourselves. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are going to do something that might feel a little counterintuitive. We're tackling a subject that, for most people, brings up a very specific kind of anxiety. I'm talking about art history.
Oh, it does have a reputation, doesn't it?
It really does. I think for a lot of us, when you hear art history, you immediately picture, I don't know, a dusty lecture hall.
Yeah, exactly.
You think of a syllabus loaded with dates you can't remember, movements ending in Campbellism that you can't define, and just this general feeling that you're supposed to be smart enough to get it.
It feels like a test. We're conditioned to treat it as a puzzle to be solved, or, a timeline of intellectual conquests to be memorized. Who influenced who?
Right. What was the socio-political context of this brushstroke? It's exhausting.
It really is.
But the source material we're working with today, it takes that entire framework and, well, it just throws it right out the window.
I know, it's so refreshing.
We're looking at a text titled A Slow, Quiet Journey Through Art History. And honestly, reading through it to prep for this, it felt less like studying and more like, I don't know, taking a nap in a sunbeam.
That is the perfect way to describe it. This text frames the entire history of human creativity, not as a list of facts, but as a long human story. And here's the hook that really caught my attention. It explicitly says there is nothing to learn here.
Nothing to learn. I mean, that is a bold opening move for an educational text.
It is, but the argument is that instead of something to learn, there's something to listen to. The mission of this deep dive isn't to make you an expert on the Baroque period.
Right.
It's to explore how this source recontextualizes art, from the first mark on a cave wall to the throw billows on your couch, as a journey that doesn't hurry.
So we're going to set a specific tone today. We aren't rushing. We're going to unpack the sensory details this source gives us, the light, the stillness, the connection. We're going to try to see art the way this author sees it, as a tool for slowing down.
Okay, I'm ready.
So let's start at the absolute beginning. And I don't mean the Renaissance. I mean way back.
Long before cities, long before books, we're starting in the caves.
The first marks. What struck me immediately about this section of the source was how tactile it was.
Yes.
He didn't talk about cognitive leaps. It talked about materials.
Stone, ash, and earth.
It's so raw. The text paints this picture of someone thousands of years ago taking a handful of red earth or ash mixed with fat and just pressing their hand against a cold stone wall.
And we've all seen photos of those handprints, right? They're iconic.
We have, but we usually analyze them so scientifically. This text goes straight for the internal monologue. It asks, why did they do that?
And the answer it comes up with is, it's just chilling.
It says these marks were not decoration. They weren't trying to, spruce up the living room.
No. The source argues they were acts of connection. That's a crucial distinction. We tend to project our modern ideas of art for art's sake onto the past, but the text suggests it was something more existential.
Existential how?
Well, it provides these short, punchy internal thoughts for those artists. I was here. I saw this. I remember.
Wow. It's a shout into the void, isn't it?
Completely. And think about the environment. The source emphasizes these were quiet places.
No traffic, no hum of electricity.
No notifications, just the sound of wind or maybe water. And the light was low, just flickering firelight.
That phrase, art was born in stillness. That really stuck with me, because today we consume art in these brightly lit, crowded museums, or we scroll past it on a phone screen while watching TV.
Right.
But the source argues that the origin of the impulse to create is inseparable from the dark and the quiet.
It sets a baseline. Art starts as a way to verify your own existence in the dark. It's a very intimate, lonely act. But, humans don't stay in the caves forever.
We organize, we build.
And this leads to the next major shift the text identifies. the ancient world.
And the vibe shifts completely here. We move from that mysterious dark to open spaces.
And the psychological function of the art shifts, too. If the cave was about, I am here, the ancient world, think Egypt, Greece, the early empires, it's all about order.
The source describes this era as steady and calm. The visuals are really distinct in the text. It talks about stone figures standing tall, walls that tell these simple stories. But what interested me was this idea of rules.
Okay.
We usually think of artistic rules, like those rigid Egyptian profiles or the specific ratios of Greek statues, as restrictive, lacking creativity. But this source frames them as comforting.
That's a fascinating insight to pull out. The text suggests that the ancient world was chaotic, dangerous, unpredictable. In that context, art provided a feeling of order.
A feeling of order.
There's a beautiful phrase the text uses. It says, this art served to give shape to time.
Give shape to time. That is deep, but also a little abstract. Can you unpack what that actually means?
Well, think about time. It's terrifying, right? It destroys everything. It flows and washes things away. But if you carve a figure in stone, and you do it according to a perfect mathematical rule that doesn't change, you're creating something that defies time. You're creating stability.
So the rigidity wasn't because they couldn't paint realistically, it was a strategy.
Exactly. The source mentions balanced bodies and peaceful faces. These statues aren't screaming, they're not running, they are anchoring the viewer.
It was a way to say, the world is chaotic, but here, in this stone, things make sense.
I like how you put that. It's like a safety blanket made of marble.
Right. So we have the dark, existential connection of the caves, then the bright, sunny order of the ancients, and then history turns the page. We go back inside.
The Middle Ages.
But it's a different kind of inside than the caves.
Definitely. This is the era of candlelight.
The sensory description here is really rich. The source talks about paintings glowing softly, gold and deep colors filled quiet rooms. It feels very warm, very enclosed.
It does. But this is also where a lot of modern people get tripped up with art history. Well, you look at medieval art, and the perspective is often weird.
The hands are too long. The babies look like little old men. It looks flat. We judge it against a photograph and say, well, they weren't very good at drawing, were they?
Right. But the source tackles this head on. It argues that accuracy wasn't the goal.
The goal was feeling.
Exactly. The text says, not everything needed to look real. Art spoke in symbols.
So if a saint is drawn twice as big as a castle, it's not because the artist didn't understand scale.
No.
It's because the saint is more important than the castle.
Precisely. It's a hierarchy of meaning, not a hierarchy of optics. And the source describes the viewing experience in a way that I found really compelling. It calls it a slow experience.
A slow experience.
It says the eyes rested, the mind followed deeply.
It sounds almost trance-like.
That's the implication. Because you weren't busy critiquing the anatomy, oh, that muscle's in the wrong place. You could just let the gold and the color wash over you. It was meditative. It was designed to induce a spiritual state, not an analytical one.
That is a helpful reframing. You're not supposed to look at it to critique it. You're supposed to look through it. Okay, so we have the dark stillness, the bright order, and the glowing gold. Now we hit the big one.
The Renaissance. The moment when artists began to look outward again.
Now, usually when we cover the Renaissance, we talk about the Medicis, the money, the grand frescoes.
The genius inventors.
Right. But this text, it zooms way in to the micro level, talks about observation.
It's a return to the physical world, but with a new layer of intimacy. The source describes artists watching how light touched skin, noticing small expressions.
That word care stood out to me in the text. It defines this era not by grandeur, but by patience and care.
I think that's the core argument here. When you paint someone's face with that level of detail, capturing the wrinkle, the shadow under the eye, the texture of the lip, you are engaging in a profound act of attention.
You're saying this person, this human individual, matters.
Yes, exactly. The text notes that people in art began to look thoughtful, present, human. They weren't just symbols of God anymore. They were people you could have a conversation with.
The source describes them as alive but calm.
Alive but calm. That seems to be the sweet spot this source loves. It's not dead stone, but it's not chaotic motion either.
It is. It's that balance.
But history rarely stays balanced. As we move past the Renaissance, the source describes a shift where art became more emotional.
We're moving into the era where things get a little looser.
A lot looser. The text says artists allowed more feeling into the work. Colors softened or grew stronger. Brushstrokes became visible.
That visibility of the brushstroke is crucial, isn't it? Before this, in the Renaissance, you tried to hide the fact that it was a painting. You wanted this smooth window into reality.
And now the artist is saying, I made this. You can see my hand moving. You can see the speed.
The source uses some beautiful metaphors for this era. It says some paintings felt like a breath, and others felt like a memory.
I love that memory comparison. Think about a memory you have. It's not an HD video, is it?
Not at all.
It's blurry around the edges. It focuses on the feeling of the moment, not the precise geometry of the furniture. The source says art no longer followed one path. It wandered.
And usually wandering sounds bad. It sounds like you're lost. But the source claims this wandering felt peaceful.
It was a freedom from those strict rules we talked about in the ancient world. It allowed for the subjective experience. This is how the sunset felt to me.
And that leads us, almost inevitably, to the part of art history that usually makes people the most anxious.
Ah, yes. The part where my 5-year-old could do that.
We're talking about modern art.
Modernity, simplicity, and daily life.
Now, usually, this is where the narrative of quiet hits a brick wall. People find modern art loud, confusing, aggressive.
Pretentious.
Yes. But this source doubles down. It calls modern art simple and quiet.
It really flips the script. It describes modern art as a single shape, a soft color, an empty space. This is talking about minimalism, clearly. Rothko, Agnes Martin.
Right. And here is the killer insight from the text. And I think this is the key to understanding this whole perspective. It says, modern art does not explain itself.
And it frames that as a relief.
Wait, explain that to me. Why is it a relief that it doesn't explain itself? Usually that's what frustrates people. They stare at a blue square and say, I don't get it.
Because it asks nothing. Think about our lives today. Everything is demanding your attention. Advertisements, emails, notifications, news chyrons.
They all want you to process information. They want you to decode, to buy, to reply, to feel outraged.
Exactly. And even a Renaissance painting asks you to know your Bible stories. A history painting asks you to know your politics. They require cognitive load.
But a blue square.
It asks for nothing. It just sits there. The source suggests that modern art allows for rest because it stops the information processing machine in your brain.
So it's not a puzzle you're failing to solve. It's a break room.
It's visual silence. You can just look at the color and feel blue. That's it.
I actually love that. It takes the pressure off. You don't have to be smart. You just have to be present.
And that idea of presence brings us to the final phase the source discusses. And this is my favorite part, because it takes art out of the museum entirely.
Art in everyday life.
This connects the loop right back to the beginning. Art started in the caves, intimately connected to daily survival. Then it went into temples, then palaces, then museums, places you visit.
But now
the source posits, it lives quietly among us again.
it lists examples that are incredibly mundane. It says art is in how we arrange a room, how we choose colors, how we notice light.
It's democratizing the concept. It implies that you don't need a degree or a paintbrush to participate in this long human story.
You participate just by deciding to put a green pillow on a beige sofa because it makes you feel calmer.
Or noticing how the morning sun hits your kitchen table. The source treats that moment of observation as equal to looking at a masterpiece.
It dissolves the barrier between the artist and the viewer.
We are all curators of our own existence. If you are paying attention to the aesthetic quality of your life, if you are pausing to notice the light, that is art.
So if we zoom out and look at this whole journey, we've gone from ash handprints in a dark cave to golden saints, to human faces, to blue squares, and finally to the pillows on our couch.
What is the through line here?
What is it?
The source sums it up beautifully. It calls art history a long breath.
A long breath.
It says it moves through time without effort. That is the core thesis. We're conditioned to view history as a struggle, a series of conflicts, wars, and aggressive shifts. Right. This source asks us to view it as a continuous, gentle flow of humans trying to make sense of being alive.
And the instruction it gives the reader,
right,
or in our case, the listener, is so contrary to everything we usually do on this show. Usually, we are trying to give you takeaways, facts to memorize.
And this source says you do not need to remember it.
You do not need to understand it.
You can let it pass.
That is incredibly liberating. We are in an age of information overload. We're drowning in context. This source offers a different path. It says the value isn't in the retention of data.
The value is in the experience of the moment. It's almost medicinal. The text describes a physiological reaction. The mind rests, the body softens, and sleep arrives gently.
The text itself is designed to function like the art it describes. It's a tool for regulation.
It really is.
It's been a slow, quiet journey just talking through it. I feel my heart rate lowering just discussing these concepts. It makes you realize how much we rush through our consumption of culture.
It does. And it leaves us with a really provocative thought to chew on as we finish up.
What's that?
Well, if art history is simply a human story that moves slowly, as the source suggests, perhaps the act of viewing art has nothing to do with the past.
Go on.
We go to museums to learn about history, or so we tell ourselves, but maybe that's wrong. Maybe we don't look at a Renaissance painting to figure out what a painter was thinking 500 years ago. Maybe the point isn't the history at all.
Maybe the point is just to find a moment of stillness in our own present.
Exactly. Maybe the art is just a device, a machine, to help us stop rushing.
That is a lovely thought. The art isn't about the then, it's about the now. It's an anchor.
It's an anchor.
Well, on that note, we are going to wrap up this deep dive. I hope this gave you a bit of a breather in your day. Next time you look at a painting, or even just the way the light hits your wall this afternoon, don't try to analyze it.
Don't try to find the date or the technique.
Just let it be stillness. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Take care. Scenario. I think we've all been in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's, 11:30 at night. The house is finally quiet. You're in bed trying to wind down.
Oh.
I am blending the smoothie. I am blending the smoothie. I am mixing the butter. I am mixing the butter. I am rolling the dough. I am rolling the dough. I am frying the eggs. I am frying the eggs. I am grating the cheese. I am grating the cheese. I am squeezing the lemon. I am squeezing the lemon. I am pouring the milk. I am pouring the milk. I am seasoning the meat. I am seasoning the meat. I am mashing the potatoes. I am mashing the potatoes. I am stirring the potatoes. I am stirring the potatoes. I am chopping the onions. I am chopping the onions. I am grilling the chicken. I am grilling the chicken. I am washing the vegetables. I am washing the vegetables. I am slicing the bread. I am slicing the bread. I am tasting the sauce. I am tasting the sauce. I am simmering the stew. I am simmering the stew. I am marinating the chicken. I am marinating the chicken. I am sautéing the mushrooms. I am sautéing the mushrooms. I am whisking the eggs. I am whisking the eggs. I am baking the cake. I am baking the cake. I am steaming the fish. I am steaming the fish. I'm roasting the vegetables. I'm roasting the vegetables. I am toasting the bread. I am toasting the bread. I am caramelizing the onions. I am caramelizing the onions. I am stuffing the peppers. I am stuffing the peppers. I am garnishing the plate. I am garnishing the plate. I am draining the pasta. I am draining the pasta. I am kneading the dough. I am kneading the dough. I am flipping the pancakes. I am flipping the pancakes. I am coating the chicken. I am coating the chicken. I am glazing the ham. I am glazing the ham. I am julienning the carrots. I am julienning the carrots. I am skimming the soup. I am skimming the soup. I am dicing the tomatoes. I am dicing the tomatoes. I am mincing the garlic. I am mincing the garlic.
You made it all the way, look at you, hanging through the chaos and the bloopers too. If you're grinning at the screen right now, guess I did my job somehow.
Hello and welcome back to English Tales and Trails. In today's video, we're diving into the world of English proverbs. Proverbs are short, common sayings that offer advice or reflect universal truths. They are often used in daily conversations to communicate ideas in a powerful and concise way. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore some of the most popular English proverbs and break down what they mean, along with real-life examples to show how you can use them. Proverb 1. Actions speak louder than words. This proverb means that what people do has a greater impact than what they say. It emphasizes that actions are a more accurate reflection of one's true intentions or feelings than words alone. For example, imagine someone who constantly says they care about you, but never makes an effort to support you when you need it. Their words say one thing, but their actions tell a different story. In this case, their actions are speaking louder than their words. The proverb reminds us to pay attention to what people do, not just what they say. Proverb 2. The early bird catches the worm. This proverb means that success often comes to those who are proactive and act early. It suggests that being prepared and taking action ahead of time can give you an advantage. For instance, if you want to get a promotion at work, arriving early and being the first to offer help on projects shows initiative and eagerness. Just like the early bird catching the worm, being early or prepared often puts you ahead of the competition. The lesson here is to not procrastinate. Being prepared pays off. Proverb 3. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. This saying warns us not to assume we'll get something or achieve something before it actually happens. In other words, don't celebrate or plan based on a future event that isn't guaranteed. An example of this could be someone who assumes they'll get a job after a great interview and goes ahead and buys expensive items before they even receive an offer. By doing this, they're counting their chickens before they hatch, and they could end up disappointed if things don't turn out as expected. This proverb teaches patience and realism. Wait until things are confirmed before making plans. Proverb 4. A picture is worth 1,000 words. This proverb means that a visual image can communicate an idea or emotion more effectively than a long description. For example, instead of trying to describe a beautiful sunset with words, simply showing someone a photo can have a much stronger impact. This saying is often used to highlight the power of visual media, like photos or videos, in communicating messages that words might struggle to capture fully. In a world filled with imagery, this proverb remains especially relevant. Proverb 5. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. This proverb advises that when you are in a new place or situation, it's wise to follow the customs or behaviors of the people around you. It's about being adaptable and respectful of different cultures or norms. For example, if you're visiting a foreign country, it's often respectful to follow local customs, even if they're different from what you're used to. Whether it's eating certain foods, observing local traditions, or dressing a certain way. When in Rome, do as the Romans do suggests that adapting to your surroundings is the best way to fit in and show respect. Proverb 6. Better late than never. This proverb emphasizes that it's better to complete a task or take action late than to never do it at all. It encourages people not to give up, even if they're behind schedule. For example, if you've been putting off starting a fitness routine, it's better to begin late rather than not start at all. Even though you're starting later than planned, making the effort is still valuable. The message here is that it's never too late to make a positive change or take action. Proverb 7. You can't judge a book by its cover. This proverb reminds us that outward appearances don't always reflect what's inside. It teaches us not to make quick judgments based solely on how something or someone looks. For instance, you might see a person dressed casually and assume they're not important, but they could be very influential or successful. Similarly, a book with a plain cover might have an incredible story inside. The lesson here is to look deeper before forming opinions, as first impressions can be deceiving. And there you have it. These are just a few examples of English proverbs and their meanings. As you've seen, proverbs are not only a fun part of the language, but they also carry timeless wisdom that can apply to many areas of life. Whether it's learning to act early, adapt to your surroundings, or avoid making snap judgments, proverbs help guide us with short, memorable phrases. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching.
Let's learn living room items. Sofa. Sofa. Armchair. Armchair. Coffee table. Coffee table. TV. TV. TV stand. TV stand. Remote control. Remote control. Bookshelf. Bookshelf. Rug. Rug. Curtains. Curtains. Lamp. Lamp. Floor lamp. Floor lamp. Ceiling fan. Ceiling fan. Throw pillow. Throw pillow. Painting. Painting. Wall clock. Wall clock. Picture frame. Picture frame. Side table. Side table. Vase. Vase. Candle. Candle. Speaker. Speaker. Fireplace. Fireplace. Magazine rack. Magazine rack. Plant. Plant. Flower pot. Flower pot. Coasters. Coasters. Shelf. Shelf. Photo album. Photo album. Magazine. Magazine. Newspaper. Newspaper. Game console. Game console. DVD player. DVD player. Stereo system. Stereo system. Carpet. Carpet. Recliner. Recliner. Books. Books. Decorative mirror. Decorative mirror. Storage box. Storage box. Remote holder. Remote holder. Footstool. Footstool. Candle holders. Candle holders.
Broccoli.
lettuce, spinach, carrot, potato, corn, garlic, onion, cucumber, peas, radish, tomato, bell pepper, celery, cabbage, eggplant, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, kale, mushroom, beetroot, artichokes, sweet potato, squash, fennel, arugula, turnips, radicchio, jalapenos, leeks, okra, cilantro, rosemary, parsley, apple,
orange, banana, strawberry, grapes,
pineapple,
watermelon,
mango, kiwi, pear, cherry, peach, blueberry, raspberry, avocado, papaya, coconut, grapefruit,
plum,
fig, apricot, cranberry, pomegranate, lychee, passion fruit, guava, melon,
Dragon fruit. Persimmon. Star fruit. Nectarine. Clementine. Tangerine.
Mango.
Jackfruit.
Yuzu.
Elderberry.
Durian.
Longan.
Feijoa.
Hi there! Today we will learn 30 examples with I will.
I will play the guitar. I will play the guitar. I will take a bath. I will take a bath. I will fly a kite. I will fly a kite. I will go to the park. I will go to the park. I will draw with chalk. I will draw with chalk. I will play with my dog. I will play with my dog. I will help with the dishes. I will help with the dishes. I will eat my vegetables. I will eat my vegetables. I will take a nap. I will take a nap. I will visit my friend. I will visit my friend. I will watch a movie. I will watch a movie. I will brush my teeth. I will brush my teeth. I will write a letter. I will write a letter. I will clean my room. I will clean my room. I will bake cookies. I will bake cookies. I will do my homework. I will do my homework. I will feed the cat. I will feed the cat. I will water the plants. I will water the plants. I will go swimming.
I will go swimming.
I will build a sand castle.
I will build a sand castle.
I will ride my bike.
I will ride my bike.
I will play with my toys.
I will play with my toys.
I will read a book.
I will read a book.
I will draw a picture.
I will draw a picture.
I will help you.
I will help you. I will wait for you.
I will wait for you. I will wash my hands.
I will wash my hands.
I will comb my hair.
I will comb my hair.
I will wake up early.
I will wake up early.
I will sing a song.
I will sing a song.
Clean. Dirty. Wet. Dry. Strong. Weak. Heavy. Light. Hot. Cold. Big. Small. Near. Far. Happy. Sad. Full. Empty. Light. Dark. Young. Old. Early. Late. Tall. Short. Rich. Poor. Loud. Quiet. Thick. Thin. Beautiful. Ugly. Calm. Excited. Generous. Stingy. High. Low. Sweet. Sour. Honest. Dishonest.
Let's learn animals' names in English. Elephant. Elephant. Giraffe. Giraffe. Kangaroo. Kangaroo. Penguin. Penguin. Hippopotamus. Hippopotamus. Tiger. Tiger. Rhinoceros. Rhinoceros. Crocodile. Crocodile. Flamingo. Flamingo. Ostrich. Ostrich. Dolphin. Dolphin. Shark. Shark. Whale. Whale. Octopus. Octopus. Jellyfish. Jellyfish. Seahorse. Seahorse. Chameleon. Chameleon. Iguana. Iguana. Koala. Koala. Platypus. Platypus. Parrot. Parrot. Owl. Owl. Falcon. Falcon. Bat. Bat. Eagle. Eagle. Porcupine. Porcupine. Squirrel. Squirrel. Raccoon. Raccoon. Hedgehog. Hedgehog. Beaver. Beaver. Sloth. Sloth. Lemur. Lemur. Hyena. Hyena. Antelope. Antelope. Bison. Bison. Zebra. Zebra. Albatross. Albatross. Llama. Llama. Moose. Moose. Panda. Panda. Lynx. Lynx. Capybara. Capybara.
Hi there, welcome back. Today we will learn 30 hobbies and some example sentences.
Gardening. Let's plant some seeds in the garden and water the flowers daily.
Gardening.
Cooking. Today, we will chop vegetables and bake a cake together.
Cooking.
Photography. Grab your camera and capture some beautiful photos of the sunset.
Photography.
Cycling. Put on your helmet and let's ride our bikes around the park.
Cycling.
Hiking. Let's explore the forest trail and climb to the top of the hill.
Hiking. Knitting. We can sit by the fireplace and stitch a warm scarf for winter.
Knitting.
Swimming. Dive into the pool and float on your back like a starfish.
Swimming.
Fishing. Cast your fishing line into the lake and try to catch a big fish.
Fishing.
Pottery. Mold the clay with your hands and shape it into a beautiful vase.
Pottery. Dancing. Twirl around the room and sway to the rhythm of the music.
Dancing.
Sewing. Let's cut out some fabric and sew a little pouch for your toys.
Sewing.
Bird watching. Observe the birds in the trees and record how many you can spot.
Bird watching.
Woodworking. Use the tools to carve a wooden boat and sand it until it's smooth.
Woodworking.
Playing music, strum the guitar, and compose a fun tune for us to sing along.
Playing music. Rock climbing. Grip the climbing holds tightly and climb to the top of the wall.
Rock climbing.
Reading. Read your favorite book and annotate it with colorful notes.
Reading.
Running. Put on your sneakers and jog with me to the playground.
Running.
Scrapbooking. Cut out pictures from magazines and design a scrapbook page.
Scrapbooking.
Drawing. Grab your crayons and draw a picture of your favorite animal.
Drawing.
Puzzle solving. Let's work together to solve this jigsaw puzzle and find where all the pieces fit.
Puzzle solving.
Skateboarding. Put on your helmet and let's skate down the sidewalk.
Skateboarding.
Baking. Let's mix the ingredients together and bake some yummy cookies.
Baking.
Origami. Fold the paper carefully to create a cool origami crane.
Origami.
Camping. We'll set up a tent and roast marshmallows by the campfire.
Camping.
Playing board games. Let's roll the dice and move our pieces around the board to see who wins.
Playing board games.
Singing. Sing along to your favorite song and practice hitting all the notes.
Singing.
Building with Lego. Use the Lego bricks to build a castle with towers and a drawbridge.
Building with Lego.
Making crafts. Cut, glue, and decorate to create a fun craft project for your room.
Making crafts.
Playing soccer. Kick the ball and pass it to your teammate to score a goal.
Playing soccer.
Flying a kite. Let's run to the field and fly the kite high up in the sky.
Flying a kite.
So, Doc, what's the verdict?
Well, you're healthy as a horse,
That's great.
except for your diet.
My diet?
You've been living on coffee and chips. Your stomach is basically a garbage disposal.
Hey, chips are vegetables. They're made from potatoes.
And coffee is a bean, right?
Exactly. You get me.
No, I don't, at all. If I were your stomach, I'd quit.
So what do I do?
Eat something green. And no, green gummy bears don't count.
Fine, one salad, but if I die of boredom, it's on you. What are you drinking?
A green smoothie. Super healthy.
It looks questionable. What's in it?
Spinach, kale, carrots, a banana.
Uh-huh. And why is it glowing?
Glowing? No, it's just... Oh wow, yeah, it's glowing.
Did you blend batteries in there or something?
It's a superfood. Superfoods glow, right?
Superfoods, yes. Radioactive smoothies? Not so much.
Oh, yeah, no, that's bad.
Well, you might want to call a doctor or a scientist. Or both.
I lost my keys.
Did you check your pockets?
No keys.
Your bag?
No keys.
The fridge?
Why would I... Wow, how did my keys get in the fridge?
Maybe your keys wanted a snack.
I can't believe I got a B.
I can't believe you're upset about it.
B stands for bad.
No, B stands for better than most people.
But I always get A's. What if this is the start of a downward spiral? What if I get a B next time and then a C, and then, before I know it, I'm living under a bridge, trying to trade algebra lessons for food?
A little dramatic, don't you think?
Not when you consider the stakes.
Okay, let's break this down. 1B does not equal living under a bridge.
Tell that to my future self.
Your future self needs a nap and some perspective.
I'll nap when I'm back to getting A's.
Or you'll just be tired and dramatic.
Guess what? I invited the whole class to a party.
What? Why?
Because I thought, what's better than 5 friends, 20 friends?
Food. Enough food is better. Did you think about that?
I'll just get more chips.
Yeah, because chips are the foundation of every great party.
Relax, it'll be fun.
Fun? Sure, until people start throwing chairs because we ran out of pizza.
Oh no, people don't do that.
Have you met people?
Okay, so maybe a bit more food.
And drinks, and space, and possibly a bouncer.
You're overreacting.
You'll thank me when I save your party from becoming a full-scale disaster.
I think this puzzle is broken.
Puzzles can't be broken, Lily.
Then explain this. I've been working on this thing for 3 hours and the pieces don't fit.
Maybe you're missing a piece.
I am missing a piece, my sanity.
Let me see. Okay, you're trying to force two sky pieces together.
They both have blue. How much more sky do they need?
The sky's kind of a big place.
Oh, so now you're defending the sky.
Just saying, maybe give the puzzle a break.
Oh, I'm giving it a break, all right. Right over my knee.
In a quiet, picturesque village surrounded by rolling hills, there lived a young woman named Eliza. She was the daughter of a farmer, known throughout the village for her kindness, beauty, and the quiet strength she carried. Her days were simple, filled with the rhythm of farm life, tending to the animals, working in the fields, and helping her mother with household chores. Although her life was modest, Eliza often found herself dreaming of something more, something beyond the fields and the familiar faces of the village. One day, news spread through the village of a new arrival, a young man named Thomas, who had come from a distant city. He rented a small cottage on the edge of the forest, saying he sought peace and solitude to work on his writing. Thomas was different from the villagers. He was well-dressed but unassuming, with a quiet, thoughtful manner that set him apart. The villagers were curious but kept their distance, respecting his desire for privacy. Eliza first encountered Thomas at the village market. He was selecting apples with a careful hand when their eyes met. They exchanged polite greetings, and something in his warm, intelligent gaze sparked her interest. He seemed unlike any man she had ever met. His voice was gentle, his speech refined, and he had an air of mystery that intrigued her. As the days passed, their paths crossed more frequently. They began to speak, at first casually, and then more deeply. Thomas shared stories of far-off cities, of books he had read, and ideas that opened Eliza's mind to worlds she had never imagined. Eliza, in turn, spoke of her life in the village, the simplicity, the beauty of the changing seasons, and her dreams of something beyond her reach. They would meet by the river, in the meadows, and on the woodland paths, where their conversations stretched long into the golden evenings. Soon, their friendship blossomed into something more. Eliza felt her heart pulling her closer to Thomas with each passing day, and it seemed he felt the same. They shared moments of quiet intimacy, holding hands as they walked, exchanging soft smiles that spoke of a love growing between them. But as the summer turned to autumn, Eliza noticed a change in Thomas. He became more distant, more preoccupied, as if something weighed heavily on his mind. One evening, as the first chill of autumn crept into the air, Thomas invited Eliza to his cottage. It was a simple place, filled with books and papers, a reflection of his scholarly pursuits. They sat by the fire, the warmth of the flames casting a soft glow around them. For a while, they spoke of trivial things, but Eliza could sense that something was troubling Thomas. Finally, he turned to her, his expression serious.
Eliza,
He began, his voice tinged with an emotion she couldn't quite place.
there's something I need to tell you, something I should have told you from the start.
Eliza's heart tightened. She had feared this moment, knowing deep down that Thomas was keeping something from her.
I am not who you think I am.
He continued, his voice heavy with regret.
My name is not just Thomas. I am Lord Thomas Harrington, the heir to a noble estate far from here. I came to this village to escape my responsibilities, to live a life free of the expectations placed on me by my family. But now those responsibilities have caught up with me.
Eliza felt as if the ground had shifted beneath her. She had suspected Thomas was different, but she never imagined this. Her mind raced, trying to reconcile the man she had come to love with this new reality.
I never meant to deceive you.
Thomas said, his eyes pleading with her to understand.
I just wanted to be free for a while, to live a life of my own choosing, even if only for a short time. But I never expected to meet you, Eliza. You've made me question everything I thought I wanted.
Eliza struggled to find her voice.
What does this mean, Thomas? For us?
Eliza's world seemed to crumble around her. The man she loved, the future she had dared to dream of, was slipping away, all because of a truth he had hidden from her.
I understand,
she whispered, her voice breaking. She could see the anguish in Thomas's eyes, but it did nothing to soothe the ache in her heart.
You have your responsibilities and I have mine.
Thomas reached out to take her hand, but Eliza pulled away. The pain was too raw, the wound too deep. She stood, her eyes filling with tears she refused to let fall.
This is goodbye then,
she said softly, the finality of the words cutting through the room like a blade. Thomas stood as well, his face pale with regret.
I'm so sorry, Eliza. I never wanted it to end like this.
But Eliza knew there was nothing more to say. She turned and walked out of the cottage, the door closing behind her with a heavy thud. The night air was cold, biting at her skin as she made her way back to the village, back to the life she had always known, a life that now felt emptier than before. In the days that followed, Thomas left the village, returning to the city and the life that awaited him. Eliza watched him go from a distance, her heart breaking with every step he took away from her. She knew that she had lost him forever, that the love they had shared was now just a memory. Time passed, and Eliza tried to move on. She returned to the rhythms of her life, but the spark that had once filled her days was gone. She was haunted by the memory of what could have been, of the love she had lost not to death, but to the unchangeable circumstances of life. In the end, Eliza chose to remain in the village. She continued to help her family on the farm, to live the simple life she had always known, but the dreams that had once filled her heart were now just a distant echo, a reminder of the love she had lost and the man she could never forget.
All right, so we're diving into speaking English fluently today,
Uh-huh.
and we're going to be focusing on
Yeah.
some proven techniques
Yeah.
to boost your English fluency. You know,
Yeah.
you're already here, so you've got the drive.
Right.
We're going to be skipping all that generic advice,
Yeah.
and we're going to go straight for the gold,
Exactly.
extracting those actionable nuggets from this source material to help you speak
Yes.
English with more clarity and confidence.
It's interesting, because most resources jump straight into
Yeah.
grammar drills, but this one takes a different approach.
Okay.
It highlights the power of listening as the foundation of good speaking.
That might surprise some people. Like, we often think about
Yeah.
speaking and listening as separate skills.
Yes.
So how does being a good listener actually translate to speaking more fluently?
Think about it like this. Before you can play an instrument,
Uh-huh.
you need to develop an ear for the music.
Okay.
Listening helps you internalize the rhythm, the intonation,
Yeah.
the natural flow of English.
Well,
It's like absorbing the blueprint before you start building.
that's a good analogy. I like that. And the source material actually recommends some really specific resources for active listening practice.
Yeah.
Things like the podcast, The English We Speak,
Mhm.
TED Talks,
Yeah.
even movies and TV shows with subtitles.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just passively listening.
Okay.
The source material dives into a technique called shadowing.
Oh, yeah.
which is a fantastic way to actively practice what you hear.
I've heard of shadowing, but honestly, I've never really understood how to do it effectively.
Okay.
Is it just about repeating what you hear?
It's more nuanced than just parroting back words.
Okay.
The key is to really embody the speaker you're shadowing.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on their pauses, the way they emphasize certain words, even their breathing patterns.
Yeah.
It's about mimicking the subtleties that give English its natural flow.
That makes so much sense. It's like you're training your mouth to move
Yes.
in the same way a native speaker does. The source material even suggests
Watching a favorite movie scene and trying to shadow the actor's dialogue.
Yeah.
It's like a fun acting exercise.
that's a great way to make the practice enjoyable. And by comparing your version to the original, you get instant feedback
Okay.
on your pronunciation and delivery.
Right, so we've got this solid foundation of listening,
Mm-hmm.
but what about actually forming the words themselves?
Right.
I know this is a big area of focus for the source material.
Yes.
What does it say about pronunciation and getting those tricky English sounds right?
Here's a reassuring fact. The source material actually says that you can make some grammar mistakes
Yeah.
and still be understood if your pronunciation is clear.
Oh,
So nailing pronunciation is a huge win for fluency.
that's encouraging, especially for people who might be feeling intimidated by all
Yeah.
the rules of English grammar.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that the source material really dives into is the International Phonetic Alphabet, or IPA. You know, that chart with all the strange symbols? Yeah, I've seen it, but honestly, it's a bit intimidating. Is it really something that an everyday learner needs to worry about?
It can be a game changer. Think of the IPA as a map of English sounds.
Right.
Let's say you struggle with the thus sound, like in think or this.
Mm-hmm.
The IPA chart shows you exactly how to position your tongue and teeth to produce that sound correctly.
Okay.
It takes the guesswork out of pronunciation.
That's a really practical way to use the IPA.
Yeah.
It's not just some abstract linguistic tool.
Exactly.
It can actually help you pinpoint those tricky sounds and figure out how to make them.
And it's not just about individual sounds.
Right.
The source material also highlights stress and intonation, the music of English.
Right, like that classic example. I didn't say she stole it. Just changing the emphasis completely changes the meaning.
And mastering those subtle shifts in intonation makes your English sound more natural and engaging. The source material suggests some great resources for this too, like Forvo, where you can hear native speakers pronounce different words.
Okay, those are super helpful.
Yeah.
And one simple but often overlooked tip from the source is to consciously speak slower.
Yes.
Especially when you're starting out.
Sure.
It gives you time to focus on each sound and reduces errors.
Slowing down allows you to savor the sounds and train your mouth to form them properly. It's like learning a dance. You start with slow, deliberate movements before picking up the pace.
And speaking of practicing sounds, I love how the source material throws in a classic tongue twister. She sells seashells by the seashore.
Tongue twisters might seem silly, but they're fantastic for warming up your mouth and getting those tricky sounds flowing. They force you to pay close attention to how you're forming and connecting sounds, which is essential for clear speech.
So we've covered listening and pronunciation.
Right.
But what about the words themselves?
Okay.
The source material talks about something really interesting. Using speaking itself as a tool to build vocabulary.
This section resonated with me. We often think of vocabulary as something we have to study separately, but this approach is all about active learning.
Oh, yeah.
A larger vocabulary not only helps you understand more, it gives you the building blocks to express yourself more fluently.
That's a great point. But sometimes the idea of memorizing lists of words can be overwhelming.
Yes.
What specific strategies does the source material suggest?
Instead of focusing on individual words, it recommends learning phrases. Think of it as acquiring ready-made chunks of language that you can use in different situations.
I see.
For example, how about we? Or that sounds great.
I remember when I first started learning English, piecing together sentences felt like a puzzle.
Yeah.
Having those pre-built phrases would have been so helpful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like having a toolbox of ready-to-use expressions. The source material also suggests something really simple, describing your daily routine in English.
Okay.
It might seem basic, but it forces you to use a variety of verbs, nouns, and time expressions.
Like building fluency through everyday actions.
Right.
But what if you get stuck and can't remember a specific word while you're speaking?
The source has a clever workaround.
Okay.
Use synonyms or simple descriptions. If you can't recall the word sofa, for instance, you can say the thing we sit on in the living room.
That's a great tip for keeping the conversation flowing without getting tripped up by those pesky vocabulary gaps.
Yeah.
The source also mentions picking 5 new words
Right.
or phrases each day
Right.
and practicing them in sentences out loud.
Repetition is key. By using those words and phrases in context and speaking them aloud, you're solidifying them in your memory and making them part of your active vocabulary.
So we've talked about listening, pronunciation, and even ways to build vocabulary through speaking itself.
Yes.
But how do we actually put it all together and get out there and practice?
Right.
I know this is a big part of what the source material emphasizes.
This is where the rubber meets the road. The source is crystal clear. Practice is the key to fluency. And it stresses that making mistakes is not something to fear, but a natural part of the process.
That's a message I think a lot of learners need to hear.
Right.
It's easy to get stuck in that fear of making mistakes.
Absolutely.
What are some of the specific ways the source material suggests for getting over that fear?
Well, one thing it really emphasizes is embracing those mistakes as learning opportunities.
Okay.
Instead of beating yourself up, try to see them as stepping stones on your path to fluency.
I love that shift in perspective.
Yeah.
It's about taking the pressure off and allowing yourself to learn and grow without judgment.
Exactly.
What are some practical ways to get that all-important practice?
Joining conversation groups, either online or in person, is a great way to immerse yourself in an English-speaking environment.
Okay.
There are platforms like italki and HelloTalk for online conversations, and plenty of local English meetups if you prefer face-to-face interactions.
And those are fantastic options for connecting with other learners.
Yes.
And practicing in a supportive setting. But the source material doesn't stop there.
Right.
It even suggests talking to yourself.
It might seem a little strange at first,
Yeah.
but it's a surprisingly effective way to get comfortable speaking without overthinking.
Okay.
You can narrate your daily actions, practice different scenarios, or even have imaginary conversations in English.
It's like giving yourself a personal English lesson anytime, anywhere.
Exactly.
And then there's the idea of recording yourself speaking,
Right.
which can be a bit daunting, but so incredibly helpful.
It's like having your own personal speech coach.
Okay.
By listening back to yourself, you can identify areas where you might be unconsciously making errors or where you can improve your clarity. It helps you become more aware of your own speaking habits.
I found that recording myself is especially helpful for working on pronunciation and intonation.
Yes.
You can really hear those subtle nuances that you might not notice when you're just speaking in the moment.
Exactly. And the source material reminds us that the goal isn't to sound exactly like a native speaker, but to develop clear and confident communication skills.
Okay.
It's about expressing yourself effectively, regardless of your accent.
It's about embracing your own unique voice and using it to connect with others.
Exact.
And speaking of embracing your journey, one of the key pieces of advice that stood out to me was the importance of setting realistic goals.
This is so important for staying motivated and avoiding burnout. Language learning is a process, and it takes time.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to achieve fluency overnight, the source material encourages you to break down your goals into smaller, more manageable steps.
It's about celebrating those small victories along the way, rather than getting overwhelmed by the big picture.
Exactly.
What are some practical ways to set those realistic goals and track your progress?
The source material suggests keeping a progress journal, which can be a powerful tool for self-reflection and motivation. You can use it to track your practice sessions, note down new words and phrases you've learned, and reflect on the challenges and successes you've encountered.
I love the idea of having a tangible record of your progress.
Yes.
It's a way to acknowledge all the effort you're putting in and to see how far you've come, especially on those days when you might feel discouraged.
Exactly. It's like a visual reminder that you are, in fact, moving forward, even if it feels slow at times. And it can be really motivating to look back and see all the milestones you've reached along the way.
It's a great way to stay focused on the big picture, that you are making progress towards your goal of speaking English more fluently.
Absolutely.
I think one of the key themes that emerges from the source material is that it's not just about the destination, it's about enjoying the journey.
Absolutely. It's about finding joy in the process of learning.
Yes.
Exploring the nuances of the language and connecting with others. It's about embracing the challenges and celebrating the successes along the way.
What stands out to you as the most surprising or insightful piece of advice?
You know, I think what resonated most with me is the emphasis on self-compassion. It's about being kind to yourself, acknowledging your progress, and understanding that mistakes are an inevitable part of the learning process.
Right.
It's about shifting from a mindset of self-criticism to one of self-encouragement.
That's such a powerful message, and I think it's something that applies to so much more than just language learning.
Yeah.
It's about embracing a growth mindset in all areas of our life.
Absolutely. And the source material really drives that point home.
Okay.
It's not about striving for perfection,
Yeah.
but about embracing the journey of learning and growing step by step.
Mm-hmm.
It's about celebrating those moments of discovery, those aha moments when a new concept clicks.
Right.
Or a tricky pronunciation finally falls into place.
And those moments are what make the journey so rewarding.
Right.
It's like you're constantly uncovering new layers of the language and discovering new ways to express yourself.
It's about recognizing that fluency isn't a fixed endpoint, but a continuous process of exploration and discovery. And that's what makes it so exciting.
It's about seeing language learning as an adventure, a chance to expand your horizons and connect with the world in new and meaningful ways.
Exactly. It's about opening yourself up to new experiences, new cultures, and new ways of thinking. And speaking of new perspective, the source material doesn't shy away from the importance of understanding your own learning style.
It's about recognizing that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to language learning.
Exactly.
What works for one person might not work for another. So how does the source material guide learners in finding their own personalized approach?
It encourages experimentation.
Okay.
It's about trying different techniques, exploring different resources, and seeing what resonates with you.
Yeah.
It's about becoming an active participant in your own learning process.
Okay.
And taking ownership of your journey.
It's like being a scientist in your own language lab.
It's exactly.
You get to test out different hypotheses, gather data, and refine your approach.
Yes.
Based on what you discover.
Yeah.
And the source material provides a rich toolbox.
Right.
Of techniques and strategies to experiment with.
Precisely. It's not about following a rigid set of rules, but about finding what works best for you and adapting those techniques to fit your individual learning style and goals.
It's about becoming the architect of your own fluency journey.
Exactly.
And one of the key principles that the source material emphasizes is the importance of consistency.
This is so crucial.
Right.
It's not about cramming in a few hours of practice right before a big presentation or exam.
Okay.
It's about making English a part of your daily routine, even if it's just for a few minutes each day.
It's about building those small, consistent habits.
Yes.
That over time lead to significant progress.
And just like with physical exercise, consistency is key to seeing results.
Right.
The source material encourages you to find ways to integrate English into your daily life, whether it's listening to podcasts while you commute, reading English articles during your lunch break, or practicing speaking with a language partner online.
It's about making English a natural part of your day rather than something you have to force yourself to do.
Exactly.
And speaking of making English a part of your life, I think one of the most important takeaways from the source material is that the ultimate goal isn't perfection. It's about communication.
That's such a liberating message.
Yeah.
It's about releasing the pressure to sound exactly like a native speaker and focusing on the joy of connecting with others.
Right.
Sharing your ideas and expressing yourself confidently.
It's about using language as a bridge to connect with people from different cultures.
Yes.
To expand your horizons and to enrich your life.
Exactly. So as we move into the final part of our deep dive, I'm curious, what's one specific action you can take today to integrate some of these insights into your own learning process?
That's a great question to ponder as we wrap up this part of our conversation.
Absolutely.
Remember, the path to fluency is unique for everyone. Experiment with these tips. Find what works best for you.
Yeah.
And most importantly, enjoy the journey.
Exactly. You know, one thing that really stands out in the source material is the emphasis on mindset. It's not just about the technical aspects of speaking, but about developing the confidence to actually use the language.
It's like having all the tools and techniques, but then hesitating to pick them up and actually build something.
Exactly.
What are some of the mental barriers that the source material addresses when it comes to speaking English?
One of the biggest hurdles, and I think we've all experienced this, is the fear of making mistakes. It can be paralyzing, holding you back from speaking up, even when you know you have something to say.
Absolutely. There's like this internal critic constantly whispering doubts in your ear.
Yes.
How does the source material suggest dealing with that inner critic?
It encourages you to reframe mistakes as valuable learning opportunities.
Right.
Instead of seeing them as failures,
Mm-hmm.
view them as stepping stones on your path to fluency.
I see.
Each mistake is a chance to learn, adjust, and improve.
That's such a powerful perspective shift.
Yeah.
It's about turning that inner critic into a supportive coach who helps you learn from your experiences.
Precisely. And the source material reminds us that even native speakers make mistakes.
Right.
It's a natural part of communication, not something to be ashamed of.
Right. It's about giving yourself permission to be imperfect,
Exactly.
to experiment, and to learn from those stumbles along the way. The source material also talks about the importance of getting feedback from others, which could be a bit nerve-wracking.
Feedback is crucial for growth, but it can feel vulnerable to put yourself out there and ask for critique.
Yeah.
The key, as the source suggests, is to find people who are supportive and encouraging.
Okay.
Look for those who can provide constructive criticism in a helpful and positive way.
It's like finding those cheerleaders who are rooting for you to succeed.
Yes.
While also offering gentle guidance along the way.
Exactly.
And speaking of finding the right support system, I love how the source material emphasizes the benefits of joining conversation groups,
Right.
both online and in person.
Conversation groups are a fantastic way to immerse yourself in an English-speaking environment and practice your skills in a safe and supportive setting. You can connect with other learners who are going through the same journey, share tips, and encourage each other.
It's like creating your own little English-speaking community.
Right.
And you don't even have to leave your house to practice. And I think one of the key themes that emerges from the source material is that it's not just about the destination, it's about enjoying the journey.
Absolutely. It's about finding joy in the process of learning.
Yes.
Exploring the nuances of the language and connecting with others. It's about embracing the challenges and celebrating the successes along the way.
What stands out to you as the most surprising or insightful piece of advice from the source material so far?
You know, I think what resonated most with me is the emphasis on self-compassion.
Okay.
It's about being kind to yourself, acknowledging your progress, and understanding that mistakes are an inevitable part of the learning process. It's about shifting from a mindset of self-criticism to one of self-encouragement.
That's such a powerful message. And I think it's something that applies to so much more than just language learning.
Right.
It's about embracing a growth mindset in all areas of our lives.
And the source material really drives that point home.
Yeah.
It's not about striving for perfection,
Okay.
but about embracing the journey of learning and growing step by step. It's about celebrating those moments of discovery, those aha moments when a new concept clicks or a tricky pronunciation finally falls into place.
And those moments are what make the journey so rewarding.
Exactly.
It's like you're constantly uncovering new layers of the language and discovering new ways to express yourself.
It's about recognizing that fluency isn't a fixed endpoint, but a continuous process of exploration and discovery. And that's what makes it so exciting.
It's about seeing language learning as an adventure, a chance to expand your horizons and connect with the world in new and meaningful ways.
Exactly. It's about opening yourself up to new experiences, new cultures, and new ways of thinking. And speaking of new perspectives, the source material doesn't shy away from the importance of understanding your own learning style.
It's about recognizing that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to language learning. What works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly.
So how does the source material guide learners in finding their own personalized approach?
It encourages experimentation.
Yeah.
It's about trying different techniques, exploring different resources, and seeing what resonates with you. It's about becoming an active participant in your own learning process and taking ownership of your journey.
It's like being a scientist in your own language lab. You get to test out different hypotheses, gather data, and refine your approach.
Exactly.
Based on what you discover. And the source material provides a rich toolbox of techniques and strategies to experiment with.
Precisely. It's not about following a rigid set of rules,
Right.
but about finding what works best for you and adapting those techniques to fit your individual learning style and goals.
It's about becoming the architect of your own fluency journey.
Exactly.
And one of the key principles that the source material emphasizes is the importance of consistency.
This is so crucial. It's not about cramming in a few hours of practice right before a big presentation or exam.
Yeah.
It's about making English a part of your daily routine, even if it's just for a few minutes each day.
It's about building those small, consistent habits that over time lead to significant progress.
And just like with physical exercise, consistency is key to seeing results.
Right.
The source material encourages you to find ways to integrate English into your daily life, whether it's listening to podcasts while you commute, reading English articles during your lunch break, or practicing speaking with a language partner online.
It's about making English a natural part of your day rather than something you have to force yourself to do.
Exactly.
And speaking of making English a part of your life, I think one of the most important takeaways from the source material is that the ultimate goal isn't perfection. It's about communication.
That's such a liberating message.
Yeah.
It's about releasing the pressure to sound exactly like a native speaker and focusing on the joy of connecting with others, sharing your ideas, and expressing yourself confidently.
It's about using language as a bridge to connect with people from different cultures, to expand your horizons and to enrich your life.
Exactly. So as we move into the final part of our deep dive, I'm curious, what's one specific action you can take today to integrate some of these insights into your own learning process?
That's a great question to ponder as we wrap up this part of our conversation. Remember, the path to fluency is unique for everyone. Experiment with these tips. Find what works best for you, and most importantly, enjoy the journey.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how the source material manages to weave together all this practical advice with really inspiring messages about mindset and self-belief. Like, it's giving you the tools and the pep talk to actually use them.
What's fascinating is how it goes beyond just speaking, and dives into this interconnectedness of all the language skills, listening, reading, and even writing. It shows how they all work together to support fluency.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I think we often compartmentalize these skills, but they really do build on each other.
Yeah.
So how does the source material suggest leveraging these other skills to boost speaking fluency?
Well, it circles back to what we talked about earlier about listening being the foundation, By actively listening to native speakers through podcasts, movies, anything, you're absorbing that natural rhythm, intonation, and phrasing of English. It's like training your ear to recognize the patterns of the language.
And I imagine reading plays a big role too. It's like immersing yourself in the written word, expanding your vocabulary, and just getting a feel for the grammar in a more relaxed setting.
Exactly. Reading exposes you to a wider range of vocabulary and grammatical structures than you might encounter in everyday conversation. And the source material highlights how even the simple act of writing can be beneficial.
You mean like journaling or writing emails in English? How does that help with speaking?
When you write, you're actively engaging with the language, constructing sentences, thinking about grammar, searching for the right words. It reinforces what you've learned and helps you internalize those structures. It's like solidifying the foundation you're building for fluent speech.
It's like all these skills are working together, creating this positive feedback loop, where progress in one area fuels progress in the others.
The source material really encourages you to embrace that holistic view of language learning. It's about creating a learning environment where you're constantly exposed to English in different forms, whether you're listening to music, watching a movie, reading a book, or even just jotting down your thoughts in a journal.
It's about creating this immersive experience where English becomes a natural part of your daily life. And that's where the source material shines. It provides all these practical tips for incorporating those different skills into your routine.
From listening to podcasts and audiobooks to reading news articles and watching documentaries, it's all about finding what you enjoy and making it a part of your learning journey.
It's about turning those everyday activities into opportunities to practice and improve. And I love how the source material emphasizes that there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Absolutely. It encourages you to become an active participant in your learning, to experiment with different techniques, and to discover what works best for you. It's about taking ownership of your journey and creating a personalized learning plan.
It's about becoming the CEO of your own fluency journey. I think one of the most empowering messages from the source material is this reminder that fluency isn't a destination, it's a journey.
It's about embracing the process, enjoying the challenges, and celebrating the progress you make along the way. It's about recognizing that mistakes are a natural part of learning and using them as opportunities to grow.
It's about shifting from a mindset of perfectionism to one of continuous improvement. It's not about reaching some imaginary endpoint, but about constantly exploring, expanding your skills, and discovering new ways to express yourself.
And speaking of expressing yourself, I think the source material does a beautiful job of reminding us that the ultimate goal of language learning is communication, connecting with others, sharing ideas, and enriching our lives through language.
It's about using English as a tool to build bridges, to explore different cultures, and to expand our horizons.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the source material, I'm left with this sense of optimism and excitement for you. With dedication, the right mindset, and a willingness to embrace the learning process, fluency is well within your reach.
Me too. It's clear that the source material isn't just a guide to speaking English. It's a roadmap to becoming a more confident, engaged, and empowered language learner. It's about finding joy in the journey and celebrating the power of communication.
Remember, the source material is just a starting point. It's up to you to take these tips and techniques and make them your own. Experiment, explore, have fun, and never stop learning.
And never forget, every step you take, no matter how small, is bringing you closer to your goal. Keep practicing, keep believing in yourself, and keep the conversation going.
All right, welcome to your personalized deep dive. You want to learn English faster? Well, get this. Our source material is a podcast script about learning English.
Ooh, that's meta.
Right. It's like we're unlocking the secrets from a source that's actually using the techniques. Get ready for some surprising tips. This goes way beyond the usual advice.
Yeah, it's like a masterclass, but hidden right in plain sight.
Exactly. So let's just jump right in. One of the first things that kind of jumped out at me from this script was this idea of approaching learning English like a marathon, not a sprint.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think? Is that mindset like really that crucial?
I think it's absolutely fundamental.
Yeah.
The script uses that analogy, the marathon one, to really highlight that language acquisition. It's a process, not like a destination. It takes time and consistency. Much like training for a marathon, you wouldn't expect to run 26 miles in your first try.
No, definitely not. But I can already hear our listener thinking, okay, marathon, got it. But where do I even find the time
Right.
for a daily workout with my already packed schedule?
That's where the beauty of this approach comes in. The script really emphasizes that even just like 10 to 15 minutes a day can make a huge difference.
Okay.
Think about it. You can squeeze in like a quick vocabulary review while you're waiting for your coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to an English podcast during your commute, or even read a news article before bed. Little things like that.
Okay, those are some great realistic suggestions because I think a lot of people get intimidated by the thought of having to do these like massive study sessions.
Right. Every day.
Yeah, but this makes it feel so much more achievable. Okay, now here's where things get really interesting. The script talks about learning to think in English.
Yeah.
Now, to be honest, that sounds kind of daunting, doesn't it?
It might seem that way initially, but it's honestly one of the most powerful techniques you can master. And the script points out that when you're constantly translating, in your head,
Oh, yeah.
it creates this mental lag that just really slows you down.
I can see that. Like your brain is playing catch up all the time.
Exactly. But when you start thinking directly in English, you actually bypass that translation step. And so your fluency, it naturally starts to improve. The script even gives some concrete techniques to help with this. For example, just try naming everyday objects around you, but in English.
Ooh, I like that. I'm looking around my studio right now. Microphone, water bottle, headphones. It feels a bit silly, but I can see how it would train your brain to make that connection automatically.
And that's the key, right? Another technique the script mentions is narrating your actions in English. So, I'm walking to the kitchen.
Oh, yeah?
I'm opening the fridge. I'm pouring myself a glass of water. It might feel strange at first, but trust me, it really does work.
Okay, I'm definitely trying that one later. Okay, so this next tip surprised me a bit. The script argues that vocabulary is actually more important than grammar.
Oh, interesting.
At least initially. Why do you think that kind of goes against what so many language learners believe?
I think it's because so often we're taught to focus on grammar rules and perfect sentence structure from the get-go. But the reality is that communication is about conveying meaning. And if you remember like the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule,
Yeah.
Well, it applies here too. In language learning, focusing on the most frequent words first, it allows you to understand and be understood in a wide range of situations, even with imperfect grammar.
That makes so much sense. The script actually uses a great analogy for this. It says, if you're starving and you only know the word sandwich,
Okay.
you can still just point at it and be like, sandwich.
And probably get what you need.
Exactly. Basic communication, even with limited vocabulary, trumps perfect grammar, especially in the early stages.
So what are some practical tips from the script on how to build that vocabulary quickly?
Well, flashcards are classic for a reason. And there are tons of apps out there like Duolingo or Anki that make the process more engaging. Personally, I love the idea of labeling objects around your house with their English names.
Oh, it's like turning your entire home into a giant vocabulary builder.
Oh, that's brilliant. And speaking of immersive learning, the script also talks about the power of embracing English media. This is where things get really fun, right?
Oh, absolutely. The beauty of this approach is that there's something for everyone. Whether you're into movies, TV shows, YouTube videos, podcasts, music, even video games.
Oh, wow.
You can learn while you're actually doing something that you enjoy.
Oh, I can already see our listener scrolling through Netflix, trying to decide what show to start with.
Yeah.
Maybe something light and relatable like Friends or The Office, or perhaps a documentary on a topic they're, passionate about.
The possibilities really are endless. The reason this works so well is that it exposes you to natural language, the way native speakers actually talk.
Yeah.
You pick up on the rhythm, the pronunciation, the idioms, all those nuances that textbooks often miss.
The script suggests a clever progression. Start with subtitles in your native language, then switch to English subtitles, and eventually just ditch the subtitles altogether.
It's like the step-by-step plan to fluency.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of those small wins. Even just recognizing a few words you've learned while watching a show, it can be a huge confidence booster.
For sure. Speaking of confidence, let's address, the elephant in the room. Speaking.
Yeah.
For many learners, this is like the scariest part.
Yeah.
What does the script say about, overcoming that fear?
Well, it does acknowledge that speaking can be intimidating, but it also really emphasizes that it's absolutely essential for fluency, and that mistakes are not only inevitable, but actually helpful.
Okay, mistakes are helpful. I mean, I get that they're part of the process, but some mistakes feel more frustrating than helpful. How can our listener reframe those moments, like when they stumble over their words or say the wrong thing?
Think of mistakes as feedback. They're actually highlighting areas where you need more practice or clarification. So instead of getting discouraged, embrace those moments as opportunities to learn and to grow. Remember, every native speaker was once a beginner too. That's a really great way to look at it. Now, the script also suggests finding a language exchange partner, or joining a class, or even, wait for it, talking to yourself.
Yes, you read that right. Talking to yourself in English can be incredibly beneficial.
Interesting point. But isn't that, a bit, weird, talking to myself?
It might feel strange at first, but think about it. It's this judgment-free zone where you can practice pronunciation, try out new phrases, and just get comfortable with the sound of your own voice in English.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal. Imagine me standing in front of the mirror.
Hello, me?
Yeah.
How are you today? Feeling good, ready to rock this English learning thing.
There you go.
Maybe I'll even start doing my entire pre-show routine in English.
There you go. And you can even use self-talk to rehearse specific situations, like ordering food at a restaurant or asking for directions. You'll be amazed at how much more confident you'll feel when you encounter those situations in real life. Oh, I love that. It's like giving yourself a private English lesson anytime, anywhere. I love that. It's like giving yourself a private English lesson anytime, anywhere. Okay, moving on, the script also highlights the importance of writing for solidifying your English skills. And this is pretty meta, considering we're analyzing a podcast script right now.
It is, isn't it? The act of writing forces you to slow down, think carefully about your word choices, and really pay attention to grammar and sentence structure. It's a fantastic way to internalize language.
It's true. When you're speaking, it's so easy to fall back on familiar phrases and habits.
Right.
But when you're writing, you have to be more deliberate and precise.
Yeah.
What specific writing activities does the script recommend?
Well, journaling is a great option. It allows you to express your thoughts and feelings freely without the pressure of an audience. And here's a fun one. The script suggests texting yourself in English.
Texting myself. Okay, I'll admit I'm intrigued. Is that really a thing?
It is. And it's surprisingly effective. It's a low-pressure way to practice using the language in a casual, everyday context. Plus, there's a psychological element at play. When you see yourself using English in your own text messages, it reinforces your identity as an English speaker.
That's fascinating. It's like tricking your brain into believing you're already fluent. I like it. Now, there's another tip in this script that I think will resonate with anyone who's ever felt like their English sounds a bit robotic.
You're referring to the emphasis on learning phrases, not just isolated words. It's a subtle shift, but it has a huge impact on how natural and fluent you sound.
Yes, it's like the difference between reading a list of ingredients and savoring like a delicious, well-prepared dish.
Right.
One is just a collection of parts, while the other is a complete and satisfying experience.
Exactly. Learning phrases helps you internalize the natural rhythm and flow of the language. Instead of piecing together individual words, you're able to express yourself more smoothly and confidently.
And I imagine that increased fluency also, like, boosts your confidence in social situations.
Absolutely. When you can effortlessly string together phrases and express yourself clearly, you just feel more comfortable and at ease in conversations. It's like you've unlocked a secret code to navigate the world of English speakers with ease.
It's like suddenly you're not just speaking English, you're actually like communicating and connecting with people. That's what it's all about, right?
Precisely. And that brings us back to a crucial point that the script emphasizes throughout the importance of patience and celebrating your wins, no matter how small they may seem.
Yes. It's so easy to get caught up in the "I'm not there yet" mentality, but it's crucial to acknowledge how far you've come. What might a small win look like for our listener?
It could be anything from understanding a song lyric without having to look up the words, to having a short conversation with a native speaker without feeling completely lost.
Yeah.
It could even be as simple as using a new phrase correctly in a text message.
Those are all great examples, and it's so important to celebrate those wins no matter how small they seem. It keeps you motivated and reinforces the idea that progress is happening even if it's not always visible.
I couldn't agree more. Learning a language is a journey, and every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory worth celebrating. Remember that feeling of accomplishment when you reach a milestone on a long hike?
Oh, yeah.
You pause, you take in the view, and you appreciate how far you've come. It's the same with language learning.
I love that analogy. It's a reminder that we're not just trying to reach a destination, we're also enjoying the journey itself.
Exactly. And that enjoyment is crucial for staying motivated in the long run.
So to recap some of the key takeaways we've gleaned from this fascinating podcast script, think in English whenever possible. Embrace those little wins. Talk to yourself, don't worry, we won't judge. And remember that fluency comes from embracing the journey, not just racing to the finish line.
Beautifully summarized. This deep dive has provided our listener with a roadmap, a toolkit of techniques and strategies to accelerate their English learning. But as with any journey, the true adventure begins when you take that first step.
Exactly. And speaking of first steps, there's a thought-provoking question the script poses that I think is worth pondering. It asks, what's your why for learning English?
That's such a powerful question because it gets to the heart of motivation. When you have a clear purpose, a driving force behind your learning, it becomes easier to stay committed, even when the going gets tough.
It's like having a compass that guides you through the, ups and downs of the learning process.
Precisely. So to our listener, I would say this. Take some time to reflect on your why. Why is learning English important to you? What doors will it open? What dreams will it help you achieve? Once you have that clarity, the journey becomes much more meaningful and rewarding.
That's such a great point. It's not just about memorizing vocabulary or mastering grammar rules. It's about connecting with people, experiencing new cultures, and expanding your horizons. Knowing your why gives you that extra fuel to keep going.
Absolutely. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. It's been a fascinating exploration of not just how to learn English, but also the deeper reasons why we embark on this incredible journey.
It's funny because we started this deep dive by analyzing a podcast script about learning English.
And now we're encouraging our listener to potentially create their own English podcast one day.
Right. Full circle moment. It really shows that with the right approach and a little dedication, anything is possible.
Absolutely. This deep dive has not only been about, practical tips for learning English, but also about embracing the transformative power of language itself.
I think that's a beautiful way to put it. We've given our listener a glimpse into a world of possibilities that opens up when you learn a new language.
And most importantly, we've equipped them with the tools and the mindset to confidently navigate that world.
So to our listener, we say this: keep practicing, keep exploring, and never lose sight of your why. And remember, you're not alone on this journey. There's a whole community of English learners out there ready to support and encourage you every step of the way.
And who knows? Maybe one day we'll be listening to your podcast, inspired by your journey and your unique perspective.
Wouldn't that be amazing? That's what makes this all so exciting, the potential for connection, growth, and discovery that comes with learning a new language.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. Happy learning, everyone.
The Girl Who Spoke 7 Languages. Part 1. Maria was 8 years old when she said her first word in a language that wasn't her own. It was an accident. A tourist dropped his wallet outside her apartment building in Lisbon. She picked it up, ran after him, and without thinking, without even knowing why, she said,
Monsieur, vous avez oublié quelque chose.
The man stopped, turned around, stared at her. How does a child in Lisbon speak perfect French? He asked. Maria didn't know the answer. She went home, told her mother, and her mother laughed. You probably heard it from the TV, she said. But Maria knew it wasn't the TV. She had never studied French. Never had a French teacher. Never even been to France. Yet the words had come out, naturally. Perfectly. Like breathing. That night, lying in her small bed, Maria stared at the ceiling and whispered words in a language she didn't recognize. She was terrified. But more than terrified. She was curious. By the time Maria was 12, she spoke 4 languages fluently. Portuguese, French, Arabic, Mandarin. Her teachers didn't know what to do with her. Her classmates thought she was strange. Her father, who had left when she was 3, didn't know she existed anymore. The only person who believed in her was her grandmother, Avu Helena. Every Sunday, Avu Helena would sit with Maria at the kitchen table, pour 2 cups of strong coffee, and say, "The world gave you a gift, my love. The question is, what will you give back to the world?" Maria never had an answer. Until the day everything changed. She was 16 when she got the letter. A scholarship. A full scholarship to one of the most prestigious language schools in Europe, in Vienna, Austria. Maria held the letter with shaking hands. It was everything she had ever wanted. But Vienna meant leaving Lisbon. Leaving her mother, who worked 2 jobs. Leaving Avu Helena, who was getting older and slower every year. Leaving the only life she had ever known. Her mother cried when she read the letter. But they were not sad tears. Go, her mother whispered. Go and become everything I never could. The night before she left, Avu Helena pressed something cold into Maria's hand. A small silver ring. This belonged to your great-grandmother, she said. She also had a gift the world didn't understand. Promise me you will not hide yours. Maria promised. 3 days later, she boarded a plane for the first time in her life. She had no idea that in Vienna she would discover that her gift was not what she thought it was. End of Part 1. In Part 2, Maria arrives in Vienna and meets someone who knows things about her that no stranger should ever know. If this story moved you, subscribe to English Tales and Trails. Next episode drops soon. You won't want to miss what happens to Maria in Vienna.
You made it all the way, look at you, hanging through the chaos and the bloopers too. If you're grinning at the screen right now, guess I did my job somehow.
The Girl Who Spoke 7 Languages, Part 2, Vienna and the Boy with No Name. Maria had never seen snow before, not real snow, not the kind that covers everything, the streets, the rooftops, the iron lampposts, in complete silence. She stood outside Vienna airport with one small suitcase and watched the city breathe. It was nothing like Lisbon. Lisbon was loud and warm and smelled of salt and old tiles. Vienna was cold and grand and beautiful in a way that made her feel very, very small. She was 16 years old. She knew nobody. And for the first time in her life, she was completely alone. She thought of her mother at the airport gate that morning, trying not to cry, failing. She thought of Avo Helena pressing the silver ring into her palm. Promise me you will not hide your gift. She looked down at the ring. Then she picked up her suitcase and walked into the city. The language school was called Institute Central. Tall gray building, iron gates, old stone walls that smelled of wood polish and centuries. Maria liked it immediately. She shared a room with Sophia from Brazil, who talked constantly and laughed at everything, and Yuki from Japan, who was quiet and made her bed with military precision every morning. That first evening, the three of them sat on the floor and shared food from home: Sophia's coconut biscuits, Yuki's rice crackers, Maria's slightly crushed pastel de nata. For a few hours, she forgot she was scared, but the nights were harder. Lying in the dark, listening to Vienna, trams, voices in German, distant piano music, Maria felt something she had never felt before. Not homesickness, something deeper, like she had stepped out of her own life and wasn't sure she could step back in. She opened her hand and looked at the silver ring. Was that enough? Here, surrounded by extraordinary students from all over the world, was her gift anything at all? She closed her fingers around the ring and tried to sleep. The next morning she was late for her first class. She ran down the corridor, turned a corner, and walked straight into someone. Papers everywhere, books on the floor. "I'm so sorry," she said automatically, in French. She looked up. A boy, maybe 17 or 18. Dark eyes, dark coat, expensive scarf. Hair slightly messy in a way that suggested he didn't care. He was looking at her with an expression she couldn't read. "You're from Lisbon," he said quietly, in perfect Portuguese. Maria froze. "How did you know that?" He picked up his papers slowly, said nothing for a moment, then, "I've been waiting for you," and walked away. Maria stood alone in the corridor, heart hammering. She had never met this boy before, she was certain. So how did he know where she was from, and what did he mean, waiting for her? She asked Sophia about him that evening. "Dark coat, dark eyes, speaks Portuguese?" Sophia raised an eyebrow. "That's Lucas Ferreira. But Maria, everybody knows about Lucas." "What do you mean everybody knows?" Sophia lowered her voice. "His family, they're connected to this school somehow. Nobody knows exactly how. He's been here 3 years already, speaks 9 languages. 9, Maria." She paused. "And he never talks to anyone. Ever." "He talked to me," Maria said quietly. Sophia stared at her. "Then you need to find out why." The next morning, Maria found a note slipped under the dormitory door. No name, no explanation, just 5 words written in small, precise handwriting. "Your grandmother sent me here." Maria sat on the edge of her bed and read the note 3 times. Her hands were not completely steady. Avó Helena, who had never left Lisbon, who had pressed a silver ring into her granddaughter's hand and whispered words about gifts and promises. How did she know Lucas Ferreira? What had she told him? And why, of all the things she could have said to prepare Maria for Vienna, had she never once mentioned his name? In Part 4, Maria confronts Lucas, and the truth about Avó Helena and the ring is more complicated than she ever imagined.